Okay, there we go. Looks like we are operational. So we're going to let some people kind of roll in the door. So far, it looks like we are operational. Hello over there on YouTube. I just saw a couple people on YouTube pop in. Hello. It has been a while. As you can see, this little burning piece of Palo Santo here. Before I choke on that, it has been a while since we did a YouTube live stream. So thank you for being here. It's been a while. I still had a StreamYard subscription, you guys, so we decided to do YouTube today. Normally, most of this stuff is on Facebook Live most of the time, but today we're doing both. So hello once again. I guess it's a new year, new timeline, new realm. And so if you're with us on Facebook, share this video. I'm also going to do that as we get started. And so you guys are going to watch me just click off the page here, and I'm going to go ahead and share this on Facebook as well. But let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you're from, what part of this strange realm you are. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff today, but really, it's been a very, very long time since we've done multidimensional tarot. And so, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are back. We're going to be doing tarot readings once again. We can also do energy body readings. When I say energy body readings, what we're doing is we're really looking at areas of density, or it's very much like we're opening up a closet and we're just looking at what the biggest items are, whatever's the most stuck. And so we're going to be doing some energy readings, probably some tarot readings. But yeah, hello everyone. How's it going? Matt Adams, very, very good to see you, by the way. How's it going, Matt Adams? April Jones, what's happening? You were just looking at my Facebook. Thank you, thank you. Denise Garcia, good to see you. Anita Rose out there in YouTube land. How's it going? I recognize your face. Willow Hitchcock, how's it going? Hello, everyone. Mr. Hoffman, good to see you. All right, guys, so the year is 2021, and I guess at this, if you haven't already noticed, I think we're in a little bit of a, somewhat of a American Revolution, or at least what we could call the televised version of that. And I guess they always say if your revolution is televised, it's really not a revolution. And who knows, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's a very, very interesting day for those of us that have been watching the news, or I guess what you would call the news, or, whatever that sort of mainstream media thing that is right now. It's been a very, very interesting day. I've been watching it with great interest. And so, yeah, let us know how you guys are feeling about that as well. It's one of the only times I have ever asked a even vaguely political question on a live stream. And so we were doing it here today. How do you guys feel? Do you guys think, are we in somewhat of a manufactured revolutionary state? Is it a little bit of the inside eating itself? What's happening? What do you guys feel? We could even do a reading on it if anybody wants. But anyway, here we are once again. Hello out there in Facebook land. So what are we doing? It's been about, I would say, I think the last time I did a tarot live stream was in September. And so ever since then, we've done a series of events. We did some meditations. We did a few other live streams and some shows. And so it's been a while since we've read cards. And so I'm really excited to do that. But in the meantime, we do have a few very important announcements that I would like to make. For those of you guys that have been following the path of the School of Multidimensional Intuition, well, we are starting our first course of 2021. A lot of people already know about it. I've kind of talked about it in a number of other places. But we're going to mention it here today because we are beginning for the first time ever, for a lot of you guys that have been following the work that I've been doing, especially with respect to kind of opening up multidimensional channels in the body, our meridians, our chakras, things like that. You guys have probably heard me talk about Qigong, or just this practice of Qigong that I've been making use of pretty much every single day, I would say since probably mid-2016. It's a practice that I've kept up with almost addictive regularity in my life. And it's one of the things that has really, I believe, allowed me to transform and really open up abilities to feel and use energy on ways that, for a lot of us, we're still getting there and we're still working it out. So for the first time ever, with this new course that we're going to be doing on January 10th, I'm going to be showing you guys the actual Qigong routine that I use. And we're also going to be getting very chakra specific when we work with that energy, because one of the things we find when we begin to open up primarily the central channels, for those of you guys that are familiar with the meridian system or even the natal complex, you'll have heard of these central channels of energy that run up the back and down the front of the body. As soon as we begin practicing Qigong and just really making, thoughtful use of the energy in the body, these channels begin to flow and expand and really send energy in ways that for a lot of us right now, it will literally bring you into an entirely new state of being. And I know for some people, it's a very crazy statement to hear people say this, but you will literally begin reverse aging your body. And it's a fascinating thing. And so in our first course of 2021, starting this Sunday, at 1 p.m. Pacific, we're going to be showing you guys that specific routine that I've been doing. And also some of the Qigong moves that have, and this is where we get really weird, guys. Get ready. For those of you guys that have seen the live streams we do, we're going to get pretty weird, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to say it straight up. In the course that we're beginning on Sunday, I'm going to be showing you guys the Qigong movements that have been given to me through my contacts with what I believe to be a group of benevolent praying mantis beings, or sort of these multi-dimensional beings. They will show up for a lot of us in the form of like ET mantis being shapes, but they're sort of one of the sort of archetypal frequencies of extraterrestrial energy that's working with people on the planet right now. And a lot of people have encountered these beings. And so over the past few years, I've been having just this ongoing sort of transmission process with this group of beings, and they've literally showed me these very specific types of Qigong moves that we're going to be teaching in this class. And so it's a very, very interesting, and it's a very, very cool thing. It's also pretty weird. So if you guys have been in our other classes, you're gonna love it. It's literally an entirely new step up into something that takes us not only through the non-physical channels in the body, but also helping you learn how to deliberately awaken, and giving you a practice through which you can do at home, morning, night, whenever you want, to continue the process. And so along with the modality of scalar toning, which for those of you guys that have been in our other courses, we make a lot of sounds. We definitely do a lot of strange toning and all kinds of, mantras, which are really what I call capsule phrases. But we're going to be using this multi-layered approach of not only the physical practice of Qigong, not only the physical vibration or the auditory vibration of the capsule phrases and the tones that open up the channels, but also direct transmission of energy that really kicks up when this entire group of individuals all get together in the same mindset, in the same frequency. Well, everyone here kind of knows what happens already when that takes place, but it's a really cool process. And if you can't tell, I'm very emphatic about it. I'm almost like drooling about it over here as I'm talking to you guys. But anyway, you knew I was going to open with some sort of like class-based thing. So a lot of people are totally not surprised. But yeah, if you guys are interested in joining it, please do check the links in the description. It's one of those things, if you've been in my other classes, you guys will know that literally everyone can get in. So don't worry. I know not everybody has $200 right now. Just throw down on a class. Reach out. We'll totally get you in there. And so if you are called, those with eyes to see and ears to hear are going to be able to pick up that frequency. But basically what we're doing is going through a 7-week journey in which we're taking a trip through specific chakras in the body. It's a process that we did, I believe this was sort of summer of last year, and it was incredibly successful. People have still written to me about the stuff that changed in their lives during the chakra course. And so what we're doing is I'm kind of revising certain elements of it. One of the things we do in this class is not only kind of work through the chakra system and figure out like, what do they actually feel like? How might we perceive these energies? Where do they actually go in the body? What do the chakras actually mean? Which way do they flow? Do they have a directional flow? Do they have an emotion? Do they have a color? When do those change and how? All of those sort of weird intricacies of the layers of the energy body are 100% available to us as humans. And it's one of, or rather it's part of that sort of consciousness renaissance that people are talking about, this sort of explosion of just new modalities, new treatment things, new technologies, all of that stuff. And at the beginning of 2021, You guys are literally going to see it happen this year. This is my kind of one and only prediction. If you guys haven't noticed, I never do predictions really, but my one prediction, I believe, for 2021 is that we are going to see an incredible explosion in terms of how people are receiving, how they're feeling, how they're gaining access to the non-physical energetic modalities that are rising up on the earth plane. That, I mean, they have been there for ages, but along with that, you know, the sort of great awakening or shift, or whatever you want to call it, we are about to experience just a huge increase in people's interest, in people's involvement. I would even go so far as to say the level to which people are going to be able to make use of the energy in the non-physical channels is literally about to explode. A lot of people are already feeling it. On an extreme level. I've had clients contact me recently, and some of them will probably be in the live chat, so don't worry, I'm not going to say your name, but people have literally contacted me recently talking about how we have been meeting up in these astral states, in these fourth density realms, calling each other on the phone and like literally preparing for this process, getting ready, training for this thing that we're about to do this year. And so yeah, join us if you feel called. And there's a lot of other people doing this stuff too. I always like to state this on these live streams because there are what we are also about to see is a huge explosion in truly viable treatment methods that are going to be offered, explained, and disseminated by people who only a few years ago had literally no idea what they were doing. They will have been in an entirely different walk of life. They'll have been in a different relationship, a different career, a different place, and suddenly they're going to have this incredible shift, this wild corners. You're going to turn this corner, and this whole new set of skills or abilities or all this stuff is about to activate. And so to me, it's one of the most exciting times to be alive. And, you know, and sort of pulling it back from, you know, like the emphasis on all this training and stuff, I think when we look at what's going on today with all this madness, you know, all of the political madness, which for the record, you guys, I want to say, I honestly, I just in watching what I saw today, to me, it looked 100% scripted. I know I'm already diverting into a semi-political avenue here, but when has there ever been a time in American history where people were able to just walk right into the Capitol building? Almost like, you know, they were allowed. It was created. It was a scripted event. And I know there's, you know, there's going to be tons of millions of people talking about all that stuff. So I'm not going to weigh in some official way, because if you guys know me, you know I don't. And you know that actually, for the people that really know me, you know I'm probably the most anti-political individual out there. I kind of have a sort of an equal hatred. I hate to say it. I have sort of an equal hatred for both sides. Although, you know, for the record, I will also say for the record, some of you guys are going to instantly unfriend me. Get ready. Get ready. I did vote for Trump. It's okay. I know some people are still very, very polarized by that, but absolutely, you know, honestly, in my heart, I would love to see him pull it out, like really, really pull this off. But I'm one of those individuals that, you know, just like everyone else, seeing what we saw today, the writing is on the wall. And I'm like, okay, every single day, let's go. What's next in the script? Which way are we going to go? And you can see it. It's literally being written day by day by day. And you know, I say that very delicately, you know, not to make any sort of like emphatic, you know, anyway, you guys sort of get what I'm saying. You can also tell my instant distaste for wanting to get even more political. So anyway, we're going to pull that one out right over there. So getting back to the energy of the moment, though, for a lot of us right now, there's going to be a lot of symptoms. There's going to be a lot of intensity. You're going to be watching the level to which your friends and neighbors are caught in that. And I know it's always a negative keyword, so it's going to be the only time we use this keyword here today, but people are really caught up in the COVID mind virus madness. And so one of the things we're going to be doing before we start doing some readings here today, you guys, and yes, we're absolutely going to do readings. We're going to do something very bold. We do this on Facebook Live a lot. And so for those of you guys that are on Facebook, we're also on YouTube. It's a little bit of a two-way stream today, which is going to make it even weirder. But I know it's always a negative keyword, so it's going to be the only time we use this keyword here today, but people are really caught up in the COVID mind virus madness. And so one of the things we're going to be doing before we start doing some readings here today, you guys, and yes, we're going to do something very bold. We do this on Facebook Live a lot. And so for those of you guys that are on Facebook, we're also on YouTube. It's a little bit of a two-way stream today, which is going to make it even weirder. But what we're going to do is a little bit of a toning process, a little bit of an energy transmission. And I'm going to be really specific, you guys. We're going to be opening up and tuning our vagus nerve. Why are we going to do this on this live stream? What's the purpose behind this process? It is to open up, solidify, to calm, and to center the energy within the human body. What happens when we do that? Especially before we start doing readings, especially before we start looking at energy. What happens when we stimulate or tune or tone or activate the energy along the vagus nerve in the body? Everything kind of goes. So, those of you guys that are here, anyone that needs a little bit of a centering, anyone that needs a little bit of, you know, that internal gyroscope that's like floating around, we're going to kind of pull everything back together. And then we're going to do as many readings as we can. So for those of you guys that are with me, let's go ahead. Hopefully you're not driving. You can close your eyes for a quick moment as we go through this process together. We're going to take some real gentle breaths. And I want to say, every time we start doing a meditative energy thing, I know how it is. Everybody clicks off. So don't worry if you're like, oh, Lord, here we go. It's all good. The ones who are meant to stay are going to love this. So let's just kind of tune in, everybody, in the energy of the moment here in 2021, the new era, and a new timeline, and a new chapter, and a stage of intensity. Beginning of the year, and as we start out this year and this day and this stream and this group sharing moment with people all over the world, because just acknowledge in your own body, in your own place, there's a whole other group of individuals tuning in this exact second. It doesn't matter how many they are, as long as two or more are gathered, or one or more, or maybe all it takes is you. And so for you in your own world, wherever you are, let's everyone take a deep breath in together in 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath at the top. Hold it. And release it. A lot of you guys have done this before. You know, when we exhale, we do this like shh sound, like a snake. It's like we're starting to let the steam out in the body. We're going to do 2 more of those, everybody. And on the third one, we're all going to create a sound. It's a tone. It's a vibration. It's a note. It's not a song. It's a simple vibration in the body. And what we're going to be doing is we're tuning that vagus nerve. We're centering our energy. Here comes breath number 2. It's just a breath we take together in 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath at the top. Hold it. And release. Make that sound as you exhale. It's like a snake. It's like a steam valve. Let go of your groin. Let go of your hips. Let go of your thighs. Let go of your stomach. Let your stomach really just float out. Let it just hang. We're all going to create a big vibration together, like a tone. Don't worry if you're at work or you're with people and you can't do that sound right now. I'm going to do it for you as well. And all you have to do is allow yourself to receive this healing energy. And so one more breath, and let's make that sound together, you guys. This is your vagus nerve toning stimulation process. Here we go. Deep breath in. At the end of that tone, whenever you get there, just go right here, go right to your throat, right at that little notch, and simply pop it out. Create a snap, create a movement, create a twist, create a cut. It's a symbolic gesture. It's one of the foundations of beginning to move and understand fourth density energy in the body, is that there is a link between our physical actions, our auditory tones, the words that we state, the thought forms that we create right now, and also the gestures. And so what we just did right there, for those of you guys that were here with us, what we just did, for those of you guys that were able to create that, just that vibration in your body, or even for those that are just able to receive it, your body begins to settle. For some of us, and you guys can hold this image in your mind's eye. For those of you guys, you know, that have that sort of imagination open, it's very much like, you know, when cream drops into coffee, or you see food coloring kind of moving into the liquid and you see it cascade and circulate around. That's what we're doing in the human body, but we're doing it via the 10th pair of cranial nerves known as the vagus nerve. And so I hope some of you guys were able to experience that. I know a lot of times, like when I'll click on a live stream and there's a bunch of people going, ooh, making some weird sounds, right? We're like, huh, what the hell's going on there, right? At least that's definitely what I do. And so if you're here for the first time, thanks for showing up for this strange experience. We're opening up some multidimensional channels in the body, but anyway, I know there's been a lot of comments. I see all you guys. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Rachel. Hey, guys, my mom's here. How's it going? What's up, everybody? And so, Happy New Year, guys. I see y'all. Vicky Dold, how's it going? Rich Oroz. What's going on? Ducky Momo. What's happening? All right, guys, here's what we're going to be doing today. Pretty much from this point forward, what I'm going to ask you guys to do is go ahead and just state in the chat if you're interested in getting a card reading. The way this is going to work is I'm just going to grab who shows up. If you've been with me before, you know it's very common that people will get skipped. It's not a thing that I do on purpose. We just sort of kind of go with the flow. And so I don't want you to feel bad if you get skipped, if you're way back in the line and you have to put your name in again. I'm not one of those people that's going to diss you if you say, hey, you forgot me. But I just want everyone to know that it's not an intentional thing that we do. I kind of just flow with the energy of the moment. But we do like to go down a list. So for everybody here, if you're interested in getting a card, we're absolutely going to pull in for it. In fact, I'm going to try to get through a lot of them. If you've been here before, you know I kind of rant and, you know, go on for a while. We're going to try to keep the card readings to probably about one card, and I'm just going to describe to you guys the energy of the moment in that card. It's very important. For those of you guys that have been here before, you'll be bored because I say it every time. You're like, oh God, here he goes. He's going to say it again. But really, we take every single thing with a grain of salt, especially when we're doing public readings. As a person that does this professionally, literally every single day with people all over the world, I don't say that to toot my own horn, but to tell you that for those of us that do, you will encounter a much different sensation. And in many cases, a quality of energy will change in a public forum versus when we do something privately. So I like to state up front, we take every single thing with a grain of salt. Some of the things I tell you, you're going to be like, oh, totally. You're going to feel it. You're going to know it like instantly. Other things, you're going to be like, I don't know. And so just in case that happens, I tell every single person when we do these readings, it's like we're opening up the closet. And for some of us, the closet or the drawer or like whatever's under the bed, it's full. It's full of stuff. And so we're sort of looking at, you know, the largest item or whatever sticks out. In certain cases, if we're doing sort of kind of like an energy body reading, we're looking at kind of the most prevalent emotional condition in the body. And so anyway, let's just see what shows up. If you're on Facebook, you can do me a great service by simply sharing this video, simply sharing it. As you guys know, I'm not a person that's on everybody's channel. I'm not on everybody's show. I pretty much do what I do just in and amongst this community with myself and just a very small group of people. So when you guys share this video, it really helps me get the word out, as well as visiting our website, as well as the YouTube channel. And so I'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's do some readings. You can tell I'm already drooling, right? For those of you guys that have been here before, you're like, oh yeah, totally. I just keep talking, so things get weird. Where's my cards? All right, and so what I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top of the list. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. We're going to scroll all the way up to the top of the list, and we are going to start with, I'm just going to let you know where we're going to start on the list. Don't get mad, guys, if you're already getting skipped. We are going to start with Catherine Real Muto. Boom. All right, so Catherine Real Muto's up first, and what we're going to be doing is just very simple one-card readings. The energy of the moment. Thank you for being a part of the vagus nerve stimulation process. Even though the vagus nerve is not necessarily a chakra-specific piece of anatomy, it is something we will be talking about and covering in the chakra class starting on Sunday. So for those of you guys that want to join, feel free to reach out. But we're going to start out today with Miss Catherine Realmuto. It's good to see you again. We're going to pull a quick card. And this is the best part, everybody. You're going to see it as I see it. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit there and look at the cards and decide in the background what the meaning is and look it up on another screen secretly. Nope. We're going to do it live in the moment. And so starting out with Miss Catherine Realmuto, here we go. What's going to happen? What's happening in 2021? Catherine Realmuto, you have received live and in the moment the 10 of Wands. What does the 10 of Wands mean? You guys are going to hear this over and over again. Get ready. The 10 of Wands or the 10s in any form, especially in multidimensional tarot, are nearly always going to be a culmination, an ending, a wrap up, a sequence of events, or a process by which something comes to a close. I got to be honest though, Catherine, it's not always the big chapter in your life. It's not always, the end of an era, although honestly, it totally can be. Sometimes it's just the end of the week. I feel cheesy when I say that because I say it so often, but literally, you guys, when the 10s roll in, especially for Catherine Realmuto, this is the 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Wands, if you guys can't tell, they're moving on from something. They've gathered all their things and they're going away. But here's the thing. We don't know if it's for a good reason. We don't know if it's for a bad reason. We don't know where you're going. We don't know how long, but we know that you've gathered up all these items and you're going somewhere. And so in the 3D world, that's usually us traveling or taking a trip or sometimes moving. Internally, existentially, emotionally, we will be carrying, in some cases, a buildup. In other cases, we'll be casting it off and running away from something. There's a really, what I would call a complex mix of emotional states that come with a 10 of Wands. I would say if you're looking for a theme at the beginning of 2021, guys, this is for Catherine Realmuto and I guess anyone else that really vibes with a 10 of Wands, we are literally moving on. Whether it's a state of being, internal or external, whether it's physical movement. And I'll be honest with you guys, for those of you guys that know tarot, the wands are very physical. Usually they do actually embark on a physical path. If the wands have a question, just in general, it's going to be, or rather the solution will be involved in a physical process. The wands get things done in the physical realm. And so for you, Catherine Realmuto, I would say really embrace the process of moving on from anything that no longer serves you. One of the dynamics of the 10 of Wands is that there will be certain things that will have seemed to have stagnated or be blocked in our current physical realm. If that resonates with you, what will happen is upon taking whatever that procedure, process, relationship, or piece of yourself is to another location, everything will change. It's almost like when you move from your hometown to another city, it's like you get to be a whole new version of you. And so the 10 of Wands can bring those experiences if we're willing to move on. Move on from what though? That's what you get to decide. And so we're going to keep going. Thank you. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Catherine Realmuto. Good to see your face again. After that, we're going to grab a Facebook person and then a YouTube person. So I'm just going to let you know who's coming up next. The next name I have on my list is Willow Hitchcock in YouTube land. I will say that was probably about 7 minutes ago you made that comment. So Willow Hitchcock, if you're still here, well, actually, even if you're not here, I'm kind of weird. I'll do the reading anyway. So I'm just like, we just sort of roll with it. But anyway, thank you, Willow Hitchcock. What do we need to know for 2021? Let me see it live and in the moment. Here we go. I don't know what it is either. Get ready. Boom, justice. This is a beautiful thing to see. Well, I guess I should be more specific. For Willow Hitchcock, this can be a beautiful thing, and for some of us, it can be a very, very difficult thing. Depending on what side of justice you're on, it can be a victory or it can be a bitter loss and a bitter defeat. I would say if there's anything you need to know with justice and the energy of the moment for Willow Hitchcock is that what's done is done. Decisions made by justice are final. They often stick. They do not denote right or wrong, but they will indicate that things are being balanced within the energy of the moment. They ask us to seek fairness. They ask us to seek liberty. They ask us to seek balanced outcomes, but they also ask us to accept the results when decisions have been made outside of us. And so that's kind of a complex way to describe justice, guys. But for Willow Hitchcock, I think that justice brings you into 2020 with a firm standing and an ability to move forward as long as we do it in a balanced way. And I would also say if there's any current round of conflict in your realm, your life in the moment, Justice can bring a resolution to that, but it really depends on what side you're on. And so justice can be an incredible victory or a very awkward and painful defeat. And so it's usually up to you to decide. And so what we're really doing is we're really kind of just defining justice. And so, yeah, thank you, Willow Hitchcock. Oh, good. I see that you are here. That's a good sign. Thank you. Okay, so let's find somebody else. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to scan all the way up to the top of the readings here. Okay, here we go. Who else do we have? So we're going to go back over to Facebook land. Hello, Uma Porn Sengyan. Hopefully I didn't massacre your name, but I tend to do that. So anyway, we're going to pull a card for Miss Uma Porn Sengyan. If you can, just let me know that you're still here. That'd be cool if you do. Don't worry if you can't. We're going to do it anyway, but what's happening? Thank you. Uma Porn Sengyan. Here we go. This is live and in the moment. What do we receive? Boom. You've got the nine of Pentacles. I will also say, honestly, Uma Porn, as soon as I just kind of check in or feel your energy, there feels like a manner of, actually, I'm going to be very specific with you. It feels like you have a very dedicated manner of it's like a life of service or a true desire for some kind of service and devotion. And I mean that very, very sincerely. It's almost like as soon as and maybe you could tell I sort of pause. For some of you guys that are really good body language analysts, you're going to notice things, every single thing people do. And as soon as I sort of connected in with your energy, there's like a version of you that seems to be in prayer of some sort, feeling kind of like a monk of sorts. And I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, for Uma Porn, what you have today, or at least for the beginning of 2021, and the energy of the moment is the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles, it's kind of a complex moment, but one thing we can say about 9 of Pentacles is that it usually looks good, it feels good, it's in a comfortable place, it's able to receive the fruits of its labor. There'll be certain elements of your day-to-day life in which you've become very practiced, very adept. You're able to meet your needs on a certain level, but oftentimes, and this is just sort of the issue with the 9s, whenever the 9s roll in, they're very close, but there's always one thing missing. And there's strange existential questions that can arise with the 9 of Pentacles. And this may or may not be relevant for you, Uma Porn. What we're really doing is we're describing just kind of the energy of the 9 of Pentacles as well. But for those of you guys that can see this card, you'll notice this woman is, you know, in a beautiful garden with a really nice bird. She's dressed really well, but she's on the other side of this fence or this gate. We have to ask ourselves, what side are we on? Whose is this? Do we work there? Do we own it? Are we in a stage of ownership, or are we one step away from something else? There's a very, very, what I would call a complex mix of emotional and existential states that will come with something like a 9 of Pentacles. I would say if you're looking for guidance at the beginning of the year and we receive something like this, despite all the complexities of it, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, despite all the complexities and the million ways you could go, Uma Porn, the 9 of Pentacles is usually feeling pretty good. They're usually doing really well. They will come to a state in which they're able to maintain elements of the self in a way that often denotes comfort and reliability. So if that's you, and I certainly pray that it is, it's a good place to be. I think at a certain stage it asks us, you know, at what cost, like I said previously, but thank you. I hope that makes sense. Thanks, Uma Porn. And so let's grab somebody else. Who do we have in YouTube land? Let's just see. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. If you're on Facebook, definitely share this video. I will also say, if anyone has any other questions outside of tarot, feel free to ask. I mean that very sincerely. Any just kind of the multi-dimensional stuff, anything about energetic anatomy, if you have any just kind of ongoing, what we call ascension symptoms. And, you know, I say that kind of sarcastically because pretty much everything at this stage that we will experience is going to be called on some level an ascension symptom. And there's many different layers, many different causes. A lot of the strange energetic things that are going on within the body right now could be described as that, but they're also indicative of certain types of buildups or blockages or channels in the body that can also be kind of closed off. And so let me know if you guys have other questions. Okay, thank you. So after Uma Porn Sangyeon, unfortunately, I don't see anyone else on YouTube, so I hope I'm not missing you guys. I might be. I hope I'm not missing you guys. And so I'm just going to roll down the list here. We're going to grab the next person that shows up. It looks like we have... I'm trying to find my place in the line. Sorry, guys. That's why we're stalling here. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Sorry for the dead air. I'm trying to find the place where people were starting to ask for readings. I'm scrolling through our own comments. There we go. Boom. All right. I found the beginning of the chain, guys. Hello, Miss Heidi Pop. I hope you're still here. We're gonna pull a card for you. Sorry about the delay, guys. You can tell I was like trying to find everybody on there. It's kind of what happens when I do the multi platform live streams. That's why most of the time we do Facebook Live. But for those of you guys that haven't noticed that check us out on Facebook Live, I think they have me like sort of caught in like about a 30 to 40 person kind of algorithm. And if you guys have sort of looked back on the past on how sort of like the public posting algorithm system goes, they will literally keep you in this sort of number range. And so it's a very interesting thing. StreamYard seems to sort of defeat that on a certain level. But anyway, before I get sidetracked, off track, for Miss Heidi Pop, 2021, here it is. Wow, it's back again. This is always a fun thing. I want to say, Heidi Pop, whenever we do these readings and I end up pulling duplicate cards, because you guys will find, for those of you guys that do readings professionally, duplicate cards show up all the time. But one of the things that will happen in the context of a public situation is that you will pull a card and people will see this and they will understand it and they will hear it and they'll feel it and their vibration will sort of draw it out over and over and over again. And so I'm not saying that's what's happening here, Heidi Pop. We're also going to, hope that this is relevant for you. But when we see the 10 of Wands, we are moving on from a chapter, from a phase. I would say, oddly enough for you, it feels like if this is relevant for you, it feels like an occupational transition or the prospects for an occupational transition, or at least just looking at the manner in which one would do that. And so I don't know if that's relevant for you. That can also be a collective energy. So the good news is we're going to pull another card. So for Miss Heidi Pop, anything else? Every now and then we do a couple. For Miss Heidi Pop, you also have the Queen of Pentacles. As a being, as a woman, just sort of a human, as a person, the Queen of Pentacles is incredibly reliable. She can be incredibly abundant. If she's a mother, she's going to be at a stage in which, especially if she shows up with something like the 10 of Wands, she will be at a stage in which she is reinventing or sort of redirecting. In certain cases, she'll be updating her approach. Not always, for those of us that are parents or really mothers, but just as a creator, one of the hallmarks of the Queen of Pentacles is that at a certain stage, she will unconsciously upgrade or change her approach. She will kind of sometimes how, women will go through a nesting phase. Animals also go through a nesting phase. The Queen of Pentacles will go through a nesting and sort of a transition phase in their physical world that will unconsciously be sort of cutting out the fat or limiting stagnancy. In certain cases, Heidi, if she goes very stagnant, she will become very blocked up and controlling and very demanding. And I'm not saying that to you. I'm just saying if we ever get the opposite side of that, you're going to know what that feels like. But the Queen of Pentacles, especially when she shows up at the beginning of the year, is probably going to be on a path of upgrading or changing, revitalizing. Every now and then, Heidi, it's literally your living space. And the Queen of Pentacles or even the King of Pentacles will show up and they will sort of inspire redesigning or repositioning. If you're feeling very stagnant in your world, let's say just theoretically, if the 10 of Wands is having a difficulty moving on from something, because 10 of, all the 10s, they're definitely moving on or ending or closing or culminating. The Queen of Pentacles can assist in figuring out what that energy is by literally rearranging her dwelling space where she lives. And so I hope you're still here, and I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Heidi Pop. Oh, I see your comment. Thank you. Thank you. I was literally going with whatever showed up on that one because I was like, wow, all right, Heidi's in the stage of the, all right, good. And so thank you. Thank you for that one. And you just redesigned. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We're going to scroll back up to the top of the list, you guys. Don't get mad if I skipped a bunch of you guys. There's a bunch of names on here. Don't be mad at me. We're going to go way up. We're going to find somebody else. Thanks, Heidi Pop. Hello, Lisa Betts Marquez. I recognize you. How's it going? Julie Porter, what's happening? Kelly Vicini, what's going on? All right, so I'm going to try to grab somebody from YouTube land. Okay, guys, if you're in YouTube land, you can also throw it in there. I see a name in YouTube land. Hello, Linda Robinson. I hope you're still here. You know how some people get weird? They like type in all caps and people are like, what the hell? Actually, that helped me see you. So thank you, Linda Robinson. Don't feel bad if I skipped you guys. We're going to keep going through the list, so don't feel bad. You can put your name down on the bottom also. Like if you were way up at the top and you were like, what? Oh, damn. Yeah, you can also add it again later. Don't worry. I'm not going to get mad at you. For Linda Robinson out there in YouTube land, thanks for hanging out, Linda. We're going to pull a card for you. 2021. I pray it's a good one because we are literally getting these live in the moment. We have no idea. Here it comes. Linda Robinson, thank you. You have the Two of Swords. And so let's be real. The Two of Swords, you guys, for those of you guys that don't know tarot, don't worry. You're going to see a Two of Swords and you're going to be like, whoa, what's going on? Wow, we got this woman. She's got her heart crossed. Her eyes are bound. You know, the Two of Swords could be a little bit intense, especially if you know nothing about tarot and you look at this strange image, Linda Robinson, you're like, what? Okay. And so it's the Two of Swords. I would say, especially when it shows up at the beginning of the year, the beginning of a process, the beginning of a stage, whatever you want to call it, the Two of Swords, if it's a behavior, it can be a little defensive. We can be a bit closed off with the Two of Swords. It's not always for a bad reason. In certain cases, we'll sort of be covering a wound. In certain cases, we'll just have strong boundaries. But I have to tell you, Linda Robinson, the Two of Swords can also be a form of energy blockage in the body. And I'm not trying to tell you that that's a factor for you, but you're going to know if it is, because for some people, and let's get anatomical, this is where we really move into the realm of multidimensional tarot. For some people, the Two of Swords is about trapped energy in the body. It's about heavy metal buildup. It can be about a third eye issue or upper chakra blockage. That's why she's got her eyes bound. But for most of us, it's energy buildup within the lungs, within the lung meridian. In certain cases, it can be very emotional. In certain cases, people with the Two of Swords energy, they can hold on to things for a long time, phrases, arguments, words that will sort of lodge themselves in the body. And so it's definitely not a bad thing to have, but it will ask us to maintain strong boundaries. It will ask us to really look around us and see if there's anything that we're not aware of in the moment that could be affecting the ways in which we protect ourselves, the ways in which we shield our energy, things like that. And so, in my opinion, this is a positive omen for self-care, self-awareness, to just notice anything in your world that has you like this. And I know that's a strange body language thing, right? But imagine, you know, the times in your life in which you're going to be called unconsciously, you're going to be like, you know, you're going to create some sort of a posture, a closure of self-protection. And so there's a multi-layered thing there. And so I also want to say, Linda Robinson, please do not take this in a negative light. When we see images like this, especially at the beginning of the year, these are great benefits because they make us aware of things, especially with a Two of Swords. Imagine if you had your eyes bound right now. There's going to be a lot of things you're not going to be able to see. And so the Two of Swords rolls in the beginning of the year to tell us, be aware of the things in which you do not see right now. Not always negative. And so I got to be really upfront. You can tell I was over-interpreting on that. Thank you, Linda Robinson. I hope you're still here. And thank you for the confirmation. Lots of unresolved grief. To me, that says you definitely know about the lung channel. For those of you guys that don't, the lungs, just in general in the body, the lungs will be holding sorrow for some of us. They will be holding the energy of sadness. For some of us, they can just be holding a mournful energy and things that we just have a hard time letting go of. I have to be very specific. It's really not always a crisis. Lung blockage for people can just lend a sort of emotional stagnancy in our life that can leave us in a state of melancholy, not necessarily depression. Although it can also lead to that. It's a very interesting thing. I would say that there are many, many ways that you guys can start opening up your lung meridian. And if it is, relevant for you, you can literally begin working with your thumb. Start palpating the thumb. You can begin moving your fingers around at the base of your palm. And so what will happen is you'll begin to open up the lung channel in the body. And so, yeah, thank you. And so we're going to go ahead and grab a couple other people. Thanks for your comments, guys. I appreciate it. We're gonna go back into Facebook land. Hello, Andrea Lynn. I see you. She says, that was me. I asked first. How's it going? We're gonna pull a card for you. I hope you're still here. Miss Andrea Lynn. And for those of you guys that are super observant, you're going to tell I'm totally like spitting on myself. I do it all the time. As soon as I start talking, I start sort of like frothing at the mouth. It's fun, yet embarrassing. Hello, Andrea Lynn. There you are. I was just trying to find your name here on the chat. We're going to pull a quick card for Andrea Lynn in the year 2021. What's happening? What does she need to know? Here you go, live and in the moment. Andrea Lynn. Oh, the Seven of Swords. This is such a cool guy to see. He's also a little creepy. When every time anyone sees this, especially if you don't know anything about tarot, Andrea Lynn, people see the Seven of Swords. Look at him, everybody. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. What's this guy doing here, right? You're going to look at this guy, especially Andrea. She's like, okay, cool, I'm getting a reading. Awesome. And then boom, Seven of Swords rolls in. Don't worry, let me explain. Seven of Swords is classically, I mean, look at him. He's definitely hidden. This is a hidden energy. It's something that is latent. It can be, what we might call, quote unquote, under the covers. It could be something that we'll sort of keep under our coat, something that we'll keep behind us. I have to be really honest, Andrea Lynn, just like the Two of Swords, Seven of Swords is not inherently negative. This is not a bad thing to have. It really calls, into question our motivations if we feel like this person. But I think for you at the beginning of 2021, the Seven of Swords asks us, just like the Two of Swords, who's classically just a little bit blocked, Seven of Swords asks us to look at those things that we might be holding away from the world, that we might be hiding, those things that in certain cases, and this might not be you, so don't take it like it's you, Andrea Lynn, but some people that have Seven of Swords energy, there is a little something that they're trying to keep away. They'll just be this little thing in their world. Every now and then it's for a really good reason. And I'm going to go in a weird direction, Andrea Lynn. Some people would look at this guy and they're going to be like, he's on a secret mission. What's he doing? Maybe he didn't steal those swords. Maybe he's, maybe he's doing something under cover of darkness that cannot be seen. And so I don't know, that probably doesn't apply to you, but for certain, there are certain elements of the Seven of Swords that will show up in our day-to-day world that at times will give us direct license to keep certain things in your life. Like literally, you're like, you know what, actually, we really don't need to talk about that. And the Seven of Swords gives you license to do that. It doesn't tell you it's right or wrong, but Seven of Swords is a classically hidden energy. I will also be honest with you, Andrea Lynn, if your life is in confrontation, I pray that it's not, but every now and then Seven of Swords can be a little bit deceptive. It'd be an easy assumption to make, right? You guys, when you see this image, even if we knew nothing about tarot, it'd be like, okay, what's up with this dude, right? Okay, really, what's going on? But Andrea Lynn, this guy needs to be made aware. He needs to just be made aware of what he's holding from the world, what he's withholding. He also needs to look around him and see, like, what's really going on? What's up with this person? Because sometimes Seven of Swords as well, you guys, if it's a person around us, if it applies to people or sort of our social kind of bubble, there could be ulterior motives. Every now and then, people will just have a little something different going on behind the scenes, and that can span into many different areas of your life. Just for the sake of completeness, I want to say, Andrea Lynn, I'm going to pull one more card really quick. And I say that just because Seven of Swords is a cool thing to get, but it's very much, as a person that does these readings all the time, it's indicative and it's a descriptive card, but it's not necessarily what I would call a primary representative in the energy of the moment. It can be something more that we're going to be made aware of. So let's see what else shows up. Andrea Lynn. Oh, good. You could tell I literally peeked at it seconds before I hold it up here because I was like, oh God, what are we going to have? Andrea Lynn, actually, this is very positive for you. This is the Queen of Swords. And if this is an anatomical area in your body, it is 100% throat chakra for you. And this is a good thing to see at the beginning of the year because the Queen of Swords really demands that you speak your truth clearly and fairly and openly. The Queen of Swords learns how to bridge the head and the heart or separate the two. The Queen of Swords, Andrea Lynn, and maybe this is you, maybe the Queen of Swords and the Seven of Swords are unconsciously hiding something. Because I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Queen of Swords. And I know we're doing this for Andrea Lynn, but I promise you this is going to be a lot of other people that are watching this right now, you guys. The Queen of Swords is entering a stage in her life in which she begins to have this ability. And everyone has seen these people. They will tell somebody to F off, and they'll be like, okay. Thank you, because they do it in this way that is so clear and crafty and charismatic that they're like, you know, they say it to your face and you're like, you know, thank you. I think I will. You know, I think that's a really good idea. Thank you very much. And so the whole mission with the Queen of Swords is it's not what she's saying. It's the way that she's saying it. It's the manner in which she's sending her message. And so, Andrea Lynn, when we see it with something like the Seven of Swords, I think the Queen of Swords needs to be the opposite of this. And she's going to be truly operating out in the front in the public realm. She's definitely one of those beings who will just say it right to your face. They'll say it to you, but they'll do it in this way. And I pray that you have this ability. I know we're going on and on with Andrea Lynn. I apologize, but I pray that you have this ability in which, or you are developing it, in which no matter what it is you say, you will deliver it in a way that people will be like, yeah. And so anyway, to me, that's a good start of 2021. And yes, I'm consciously keeping it positive. I don't know. To me, that's a good thing to do. But anyway, thank you, Andrea Lynn. Thanks for hanging out. All right, so I'm just going to grab some other people. We're going to go way up in the list. Don't get mad, everybody. And I think that was a Facebook person. So hello, we're going to do somebody on YouTube. And so I'm just going to grab a random YouTube name. Don't be mad if I skip you guys. Hello, Hyundai Gardener. There you are. How's it going? We're going to pull a card for you. It's helpful if you let us know that you're still here. But for those of you guys that know, I'll probably just roll on anyway. So thank you, Hyundai Gardener. Thanks for hanging out. I don't do a lot of YouTube live streams like this, so thanks for stopping by. Okay, Hyundai Gardener. We're going to see it live and in the moment. Ooh, almost came out. Hyundai Gardener, you have actually a very, very cool thing. I'm going to be straight up. We did a tarot class last year. We're doing another one in March. And for those of you guys that know multidimensional tarot and maybe some other people in regular tarot land, I'll tell you straight up, Hyundai Gardener, you got the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is the luckiest card in all of tarot. And yes, that is an assignment that I have given it and also many other people. But what do I mean when I say this is a lucky card? Very specifically, Page of Pentacles will literally just find stuff. They will be walking down the road and they'll be like, whoa, what the heck? They'll find things that people drop. They will find money. You will actually, honestly, if I do have a prediction for you, because this is a very reliable thing. Honestly, for those of you guys that know tarot, you're going to know this as well. When the Page of Pentacles rolls in, you will literally walk down the street in a couple days or maybe tomorrow and you will find $1 or you will find money. And, you know, maybe sometimes it's just a quarter. Every now and then you're going to lift up a cushion and you're going to be like, oh, damn, there's a $10. What? There's a $10 bill right here. And so please be on lookout for that. When the Page of Pentacles rolls in, that's just a thing that will happen. It's a temporary state, though, I have to tell you. You guys will find that all of the pages are temporary. It's just kind of the nature of a page. A page is a being in development. They're a being that's in a new chapter, a new element of their path. And so I would also say that for Hyundai Gardener, just in general, I would say as we start 2021, pages are in a temporary stage of development, and there's going to be a certain area of their life. This is just kind of an existential detail for page energy. The pages are going to have to be willing to ask for help in certain ways. And I'm not telling you that to say, hey, you need help, nothing like that. It's just kind of one of those existential qualities of the page, because they're developing just an element of the self. In this case, I'll be specific. It's how you manifest the currency of your desire. Just in case anyone's wondering, what are the pentacles in multidimensional tarot? They are the manner by which you manifest the currency of your desire. Or we could even just say the currency of your desire. In old school tarot, there's stuff like money or possessions or physical things. I would say for Hyundai Gardener, though, the page will be greatly aided in the areas in which they're afraid to ask for help, if they're willing to literally put their hand out. It's a very curious behavior that comes with pages. I would say they also, and this is a very positive detail, I think that people that are in the stage of a page, if they're in truly developing an element of themselves, the pages will show up in your path to literally say, you are legit. That's the whole deal with the pages. For those of you guys that just, study tarot, you'll find the pages are the youngest members of the royal court. They are in. They already made it in. But for people that will hold a lot of page energy, they won't see it. Well, it's not that they don't always see it, but they might not see it in themselves. They'll perceive themselves in certain stages as being a little bit less than, or a little bit smaller. Sometimes literally they'll just be like, really? You, that little one? Really? And so a lot of people will have the page energy, but they really will need to, and just saying if you do, it really asks you to recognize your legitimacy. The very fact that a page is a page means that they already came a long way. And yes, some of the, if you want to get technical, because I know there's always some people that know tarot, they're going to be like, wait a minute, some of the pages, they just get inheritance. Yes. It's kind of a weird thing. In certain elements of tarot, you will find that some of the archetypes, they don't actually work for what they got. They just kind of got handed it. Some of the pages have that quality as well. I'm not saying that's you, but just for the sake of completeness and looking at the archetypal qualities of a page of pentacles, they're very lucky. They're very legit, but they will definitely have to be willing to say like, hey, excuse me, can you help me with whatever this area of my life is? If they're able to do that, great things happen. So I hope that makes sense. You can tell I'm very, very emphatically ranting at everyone today. So yeah. Thank you, Hyundai Gardener. We're going to go way up. Okay, I think we just did a YouTube person. And so we're going to go grab a Facebook person. All right, let me see here. Hello, we have my friend, Mr. Mike Patterson. I see your statement there. Card, please. Absolutely. Hello, Mr. Mike Patterson. Can I get a follow-up card from our last reading? Absolutely. I do remember the last reading, so I think this will make sense. But yes, Mr. Mike Patterson, thanks for being here. Let's pull a card. Those of you guys over on Facebook, in the meantime, definitely, please do share this video. Also, don't feel bad about putting your name back down on the bottom of the list, because I'm just going through randomly at this point. I'm scrolling up and down. We're grabbing just a person from Facebook and then a person from YouTube. And so please don't feel bad about putting your name in again. I won't get mad at you. If you say dumb things, I'll probably instantly just block you in the moment. It's really easy to do, but yeah. And I say that because I've been blocking people in the background, just so you know. Other people probably saw it, but yeah. Anyway, YouTube's not a democracy, unfortunately. And I'm definitely not one of those people that I certainly do not suffer trolls. So I'm just like, see ya. But anyway, in the meantime, Mr. Mike Patterson, what's happening? Pertaining the opportunity for Mr. Mike Patterson. Mike, you can tell you probably saw my body language, and you can tell that I'm like, oh, we're gonna pull another card. But for everyone else, and starting out for Mike Patterson, we're gonna be straight up. We do have the 5 of Swords, ladies and gentlemen. When the 5 of Swords rolls out, let's be real. When the Five of Swords rolls out, we are often in a socially unbalanced or energetically polarized or just very up and down type of a situation. The Five of Swords is quite a complex energy, but I will start explaining it by saying it is nearly always very temporary. It's a short-term state. In fact, I'll tell you, all the fives are short-term states of change whenever we look at just kind of paths and energy flow in tarot. And so the Five of Swords, Mike Patterson, though, specifically, and I am going to get another card for you, the Five of Swords needs to be very careful about doing things behind others' backs or having things done behind other people's backs. In certain cases, the Five of Swords will just need to be very careful. And if you're trying to figure out, for those of you guys that see this image and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is this a joke? What's happening? Why does that person have that knife? What are they doing? Why are they looking over their shoulder? What are those people doing on in the background? If you look at an image like this and you're like, there's a great amount of uncertainty here, and we're not sure, is this a cool thing or a good thing or a bad thing? That's literally what it is, Mike. This is like, is this good or bad or unbalanced, or should it even be done this specific way? The Five of Swords will bring a lot of those things into question. I have to tell you though, whatever is going on with Five of Swords, the antidote for Five of Swords is that everything is done face to face. Notice the dynamic of this scene. A person is looking over their shoulder as they walk away, or they're saying something behind another's back. And I'm not telling you you're doing any of those. I'm just giving you the full archetypal, just, you know, all of the symbolism that shows up here. The way for this to be, you know, an absolutely resonant and optimal moment is the Five of Swords literally has to turn around and go right face to face and do whatever it is they're being asked to do. But in light of, you know, whatever the opportunity is, that can be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. We're going to just do really quickly one more. Here we go. And Mike, you get it here first, straight up, live in the moment. Then we have a Nine of Swords, which is probably overthinking many things. I got to be honest with you. The Nine of Swords will think themselves into a little bit of an overwhelm. They'll be holding way too much inside their head and they don't let it out. They'll keep themselves up all night worrying about a thing. And the reality is, I mean, look at them. They just have a lot of swords. They're going to need to figure out whose they are. Where do they go? Is this my sword? Is it your sword? It's kind of a humorous way of me saying that there can be a lot of energy buildup. There can be a lot of thought forms that occur. And so classically, for those of you guys that have been watching this whole live stream and you saw some of the cards that come out, and then we come to certain situations and we just barely look at the symbolism. I would say that this is a questionable situation that could have a myriad of different outcomes that honestly don't, it's hard to see these and say that they're going to be awesome. But they could be. And you can tell. I'm being very optimistic. People that know tarot will be like, yeah. And so I'm being somewhat, you know, soft with that, but I would say that's a potentially difficult situation that will need to be conducted 100% out in the open in order for it to really be its full potential. And so, sorry if we just went on an ultra long run for Mike Patterson. I hope that helps, my friend. And so, thanks, y'all. I am going to find some other people. And so that was a Facebook person. Let's go back into YouTube land. I'm just going to grab a random YouTube. Oh man, I'm literally going to choose you because I love your name. Hello, Mr. Fat Pepper. I hope you're still here. I mean, literally, I was like, dude, Mr. Fat Pepper, for real. Please be a real person. I'm going to do a reading for you anyway, just because I like your name. So for Mr. Fat Pepper on YouTube, what's happening? Let's pray Mr. Fat Pepper's still here. Even if you're not, I mean, I genuinely want to give you a reading because it's very rare that I get taken by people's screen names. And I'm like, yeah, sweet. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Fat Pepper over there in YouTube land, what's coming up in 2021? Boom. Mr. Fat Pepper, I accidentally pulled 2 cards for you. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with number 1. Mr. Fat Pepper, you have a King of Pentacles. I'm going to be honest with you. King of Pentacles is pretty stable. It's a pretty stable being. Usually they'll be coming to a stage in which there's kind of like a reliability. If you're having questions about abundance and you see, you know, the King of Pentacles rather roll in, the King of Pentacles will usually come to a stage in which there's a reliability factor. They're able to meet their needs. They're able to create sort of just a comfortability for themselves that on a positive level can spread to everyone around them. And the King of Pentacles can sort of create a vibe or a feeling or a moment or a situation, whatever it is that can, you know, benefit every single person around them. But at the same time, if they're in what I would call kind of a negative wavelength or kind of the other side, or they become stagnated, they can become very controlling. They can become very demanding. They can sort of, if we're a male, we can lapse into what we would call toxic masculinity or what we would call negative father archetypes. And I'm not saying, you know, that you would embody that. We're just giving you the full run of what happens with the King of Pentacles. I would say if there's anything that it calls us to do in the beginning of What? We made it back. You guys can tell I'm eating something, and everyone left. Just want to let everybody know my Wi-Fi literally turned off. I don't know what happened. It showed that we were still live, which is wild. Literally everything said live. Excuse me, as I'm chewing on some food on my own live stream. Yeah, everything just shut off. So welcome to 2021, everyone. It looks like it's still kind of blocked. So let me know if you guys can see me. It looks like it's still working. I'm going to try to go ahead and get Facebook rolling as well. It looks like, yeah, so Facebook closed itself. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep rolling on YouTube. Okay, cool. You're back. All right, good. I see some people there in the chat. So for those of you guys that are still here, granted, there's only a few of us, but yeah, we were going on and on through readings a little while ago. Maybe it was like 10 minutes or so ago. And then suddenly, boom, everything goes black. It looks like we were still online. My camera was blank. I could see everyone's comments. So I'm like, whoa, it's kind of still working. And then boom, everything went dark. It looks like my Wi-Fi turned off. So I just turned everything back on. It took a little while, but who knew? Who knew what was happening? There was this part of me, and yes, this is sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke. I was like, could it be the 10 days of darkness? I'm just kidding. Anyway, let's get back to some readings. Thanks, you guys. Share this video. We're pretty much only on YouTube at this point. It looks like the Facebook live stream totally blocked me. So we're in YouTube land, and I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to try to find some of your comments, and we're going to keep doing readings. We're going to keep going. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom of the list. If you're still here, let me know, because I think we only got 12 people in the house at this stage. Let me know if you're still here, and the readings will return. Here we go. Rachel Neal, what's happening? How's it? Oh, good to see your face again, Rachel Neal. What's happening? Thank you for being here. Thanks for finding this weird live stream. We literally had to change timelines right there, you guys. That's why my live stream went down. It was a sudden timeline shift. It's a weird thing. It happens. I know. Thank you, April Jones. Yeah, we're back, but we're only on YouTube. We're only on YouTube. I don't know why. Facebook just turned us off. Wi-Fi quit. So we're going to do a reading for Miss Rachel Neal. What's happening? Here we go. In the year 2021, what do we need to be made aware of? What's important? What's going on? Rachel Neal. Oh, Rachel Neal. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing to have. The star. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime the star rolls into your world, into your timeline, into your path, especially at the beginning of the year, and we're beginning a new stage, a new age, a new, whatever it is, the star is a beautiful thing to see. Why is that? Because the star denotes events that were created by you, for you, in conjunction with others, before you were born, before you came into this world, before you incarnated here in the physical world. You agreed to have experiences, chapters, certain things that are going to play out, stages of your life that you're going to go through. In certain cases, I will be straight up. I got to be really straight up. Rachel Neal, every now and then the star, it can bring intensity depending on what it is that is slated to occur. But I would say that people that really know tarot will understand that the star brings synchronistic encounters, and that no matter which way you turn, right or left or up or down, the star is going to show up. In my opinion, it's a very beautiful thing to have. It asks us to look towards synchronicity. It asks us to look toward mysteries and strange miracles that will show up in our life, and understand that the star brings nothing by mistake. Nothing by mistake. In fact, we're bridging elements of ourself, the multidimensional self, with the physical self. We're entering literally a new age. This is a very Aquarian energy right here. The star is here. And so anyway, it's a beautiful thing to have, Rachel Neal. I would say embrace the strangeness as well. If that makes any sense, the star will literally embrace the bizarreness of their change. It's very, very revolutionary in a lot of ways. And I don't mean like revolutionary in terms of confrontation and overthrow, but the star will literally revitalize a person's path. And there's certain stages of, as we go through the physical life cycle in which the star will literally assist you in transforming into another stage of identity. it kind of really depends on how deeply we want to look into the existential qualities of the major arcana. But the star is deeply fascinating, and nothing happens by mistake. And so it's a beautiful thing to have. All right, let's see. Who else do we have? Hello, Kayla Such. I see your name next on the list there. Hi, can I have a reading? What's in store for 2020? Damn, I don't know. 2020 was a trip. It certainly was. I love how when 2020 started, you guys, it was like everyone was like, we got 2020 vision. This is the year. This is it. This is the one. You know, everybody started 2020 with this really huge kind of like, you know, almost like we were kind of puffed up. You know, we went in there going, all right, this is it. 2020, right? New decade. And then I'm just going to say it. Shit got really weird really fast, right? And don't worry, Kayla. I know you were meaning 2021. I'm just saying, like, when we sort of look back on how last year started, you know, everybody rolled in with like, this is our year, this is our time. And now here we are, 2021. And you just look at everything going on today on all the politics and the upheaval. And we're like, this is 2021. You know what I mean? There's like a whole other vibe, not to be weird and empathic, but emphatic rather. Here we go. Kayla Such. Thanks for hanging out, Kayla Such. What's going on? Oh, Kayla Such, what a beautiful thing to have. You've got the Four of Wands. I have to be honest. You guys will notice if you really pay attention, I say they're all beautiful things to have. I do consciously try to keep things positive. Every now and then they get a little awkward. But the Four of Wands, you guys, especially for Kayla Such, when this rolls in the beginning of the year, yes, it is very much what it looks like. But I got to be straight up. Whenever we see these images in tarot, and this is for anyone else that vibes with this card, because other people are going to be like, whoa, this feels like me, or this feels like something, or you'll get a feeling when you see it. And the Four of Wands is one of those cards when, you know, it's really about your association with what this image represents to you. Everyone's going to have their own relationship with this image. It's going to mean its own unique thing to you. And so, Kayla Such, whatever this represents to you, rather these two people inside this box. And then I'm going to be honest, it's not always romance. I'll be straight up. You're going to know in your heart if it's about a romantic thing or if it's about just chemistry and agreements and creations and building reliable structures and sort of agreements and things within the physical world that allow us to be in a state of harmony. In certain cases, if we're just looking at things from a generalistic perspective, Kayla Such, the Four of Wands is very much a honeymoon period. Things will go very well. They feel good. Even if we knew nothing about tarot and we were trying to figure out, wait, what's going on? I just got this Four of Wands. What does that mean? You know, you're going to look at the image and you're going to be like, this is a pretty good feeling thing. But notice how they're contained, because they are literally, they're in this little box. They're in this little realm. They're within four walls or four pillars. And so from a symbolic perspective, the Four of Wands will bring something that is a little bit smaller. It's not an explosive element of whatever this is, whatever this represents to you, Kayla Such. The Four of Wands is not the explosive version of it. It is rather contained, but it is reliable. It is real. It works really well when these two do what they do inside this little area right here. It's incredible. And so people are asked to build upon a Four of Wands energy. If it shows up in your world and it's a relevant energy for you, and if this means anything to you at the beginning of the year, the Four of Wands asks you to build on that, to find ways in which the Four of Wands is going to take something that they've created. Sometimes it's an internal creation with Four of Wands. That's why we look at the symbolism of them being, you know, contained within this little area. And the Four of Wands is tasked with taking something that is currently contained. Sometimes it's contained within you. Sometimes this is a thing that we're trying to manifest or experience. And the Four of Wands, if it is, it asks you to take that outside of whatever the pre-existing bubble or the boundaries or the realm, or especially if you've put whatever this means to you in a box. Meaning if you've sort of locked yourself into an understanding, it's this and it's only this. or this person and only this person. The Four of Wands opens up a lot of avenues for you, but they do it reliably. They do it a little bit slower, a little bit less explosively, and they ask you to consciously build on the reliability or the structure around your agreements, your partnerships, your romance, your chemistry, in certain cases, your intimacy, and even if you want to get like super ultra specific or technical, even your job, even our occupations will be wound up in those kinds of images. And so I would say, to me, it feels like a very beautiful thing to embrace and make physical use of whatever that energy represents to you. Why do I say physical use? Because the wands, if they want something to come to full fruition in their world, they have to get physical. Each of the suits in tarot, you guys, they have kind of like their own sort of task or their own sort of mission. The wands will get physical. That's the nature of what they do. The cups are they're sort of existential. They're very emotional. They're very philosophical. They're very wishy-washy. You know, they can also be constantly changed or dumped out or refilled. So the cups are very internal. You guys, the pentacles they're very much physical. They're in the physical realm. We hold on to them. We feel them. We desire them. You know what I mean? And just like with the swords, if you guys are kind of following along, the swords are energetic. They're communication. There are words. There are thoughts. We could say there's a very double-edged quality, right, to swords. And so it just kind of helps people get a little bit of an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the suits, or the, I guess we could say the elements, elemental qualities of tarot. Thank you. I hope that makes sense. Oh, and thank you, Rachel Neal. I see that you're on an all raw diet now, so hell yeah, keep going with that. Please do. Please do. All right, so I'm gonna roll up, and we're gonna grab some people here. We're gonna do a couple more readings. Hello, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. That's fine. I see the next person in line, April Jones. What's happening? Good to see you again. Thank you for migrating over from Facebook. If anyone was in the Facebook group, maybe if you feel inclined, share this video over there and tell them they can come over here. Although, honestly, there's a million live streams today and everyone's in upheaval, and so no worries. Everyone's, you know, we're going to go exactly where we're going to be in. But in the moment, let's pull a card for April Jones. April Jones, what's happening? April Jones, I can guarantee you by the end of this life cycle, you're going to be absolutely 100% communicating with people telepathically. I absolutely guarantee you. If you're already feeling their sort of words and their communications in your head and your body, it's important for you to acknowledge that that's real. And I say this because, and everyone else here is going to discover this in the very near future. So don't worry if what I'm about to say is super weird, you guys. Some of you are going to be like, what? Huh? You guys are going to begin to encounter a phenomenon by which, when you connect with people, when you start talking with them, or you connect with them either on social media or energetically, or sometimes even just in your thoughts and your emotions, you will reach out to a person and you will literally hear their voice in your head, or you will receive a direct layer of confirmation. And so I don't say that to get weird and woo-woo with you, April Jones. I'm just saying, if you encounter, especially in the coming months, that you begin to have an internal dialogue or an exchange with people that you're knowing in the physical world, then you're coming to the stage in which you're asking yourself, are we actually communicating? Yes. And for everyone else that's having that experience, yes. That is one of the hallmark gateway experiences as we move into this thing known as fourth density. Excuse me, as I start spitting on myself on camera. One of the things that happens as we go into fourth density is we truly enter a shared astral space that many of us regard in the beginning as being our internal realm, your internalized body. And so people go through these processes and experiences and conversations and all sorts of stuff with people inside our internal realm. And the thing is, we are coming to the point in our existence in which that internal realm is not always, this is a very delicate thing to try to explain, it's not always just you anymore. We come to the stage in fourth density in which everyone is communicating. all the time. Everything is known, all of the motivations. I'm even going to say something even stranger to you guys. You're going to come to a stage in your journey in which everything about a person that you need to know, or anything that's relevant for your interaction, is going to show directly on their face, in their voice, in their eyes, and it will be known instantly. And so sorry, April Jones, I know I'm going on a long rant about that for you, but we are going to pull a card. I swear to God. We definitely are. And so for everyone else, that's really the beginnings of what we talk about when we talk about telepathic communication. And I have to say that for a lot of us, we will begin to unpack and use that frequency or that ability in entirely individual ways. And so there are people right now that are existing on the world that are 100% telepathic beings, but they don't realize that they are, because they're expecting the communication or the interface or the information shared with other people to come in like someone talking in your head. You know, like, just for example, April Jones, because I know we're doing your reading. It's not like, hello, April. You know, it's not like we're necessarily going to be having a dialogue together, but people are going to be noticing that you're sharing feelings, you're sharing emotions, you're sharing thought forms. Very, very easy to share thought forms. I would say, actually, honestly, emotions are probably going to be the easiest thing to send. And so in the beginning, what we're doing is, and you know, somebody else coined this term. It was Sean Bond, but I love this term. I always give credit to people. I'm not one of those people that ever steals other people's ideas, not to get weird in the moment, but or their terms. Sean Bond coined a really cool phrase, the heart-based text messaging system. And so everyone is unpacking that. And I just think for you, especially April, you're probably going to be feeling it in your own way. Sorry to go on a crazy rant. Let's pull a card. Okay, April Jones, let's see. You're going to see it live and in the moment. What's happening? April Jones, you have an 8 of Cups. And this is quite a complex energy, April Jones. I'm going to be totally honest with you. 8 of Cups, you guys look at it. You can see what's going on here. When we look at an 8 of Cups, we're like, all right, let's try to figure this out. For those of us that are just learning tarot, we're going to see an 8 of Cups and go, okay, all right, this guy's staring off into the distance, looking over out into the night, pondering, searching, yearning, wondering. What does an 8 of Cups really mean? And so I'm going to be honest with you. 8 of Cups, from an emotional perspective, April Jones, can be quite melancholy at times. They can be yearning for things that they can't have, or in certain cases, and I'm not going to say this is you, we're just going to give you the full run of the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups can get caught in an emotional perspective in which they will still be unconsciously focused on things from the past, things that happened, you know, stuff that they can't do anything about. In certain cases, every now and then, this will be an easy way for you guys to understand 8 of Cups energy. You'll notice, look at the scene here. One's missing. It's not really one missing. There's still 8 cups, right, everybody? Look, there's still 8 cups. But the way that it's presented, the symbolism is like something's missing. And let me tell you, the person that has 8 of Cups, they're going to feel that they are missing something, that there's something there that's incomplete. They'll be longing for a person or a place or an experience or a chapter or whatever it is. And 8 of Cups, they don't always know what it is that they're yearning for. And I have to be honest, that's why the 8 of Cups is not really a crisis energy, but for some people, it can be a state that we will remain in for some time, and we'll just be in an 8 of Cups energy, and we'll be, you know, slightly melancholy and mournful, yearning for certain things that when really, and let's be really technical, everyone. And April Jones, this card is a little bit more of me describing the energy than it is rather ascribing it to you. And so I want you to only grab onto what fits here. But the 8 of Cups will sort of overlook things in their world. They don't realize, literally, they have all 8 cups. They're literally right there. And so 8 of Cups feels that there's a thing they don't have. They'll even see it with other people, and they'll be like, I don't know, those guys seem to have a thing, and I don't necessarily think you won't perceive it within yourself. And so this is where it gets really wild with symbolism in tarot, you guys. There's actually nothing missing. Literally nothing. It's 8 of Cups. and we've got 8 cups. And so there's a very interesting thing with the 8 of cups where when you know, and we're speaking at this in a metaphorical manner, when the 8 of cups finally turns around, they turn around, you know, from the state of loss or whatever that, you know, state that they're in. They're like, wait a minute, I have everything. They're all here. And so anyway, yes, thank you. Space Cat said it. You're definitely not alone. Space Cat knows I'm over-interpreting on that card, I think, as well. It's definitely a thing that you'll do. You'll start like doing a reading for a person and you're like, well, you know, it also means this. And actually, it also means that. And, you know, there's also this. And, of course, there's this as well. And so, April Jones, I say only grab on to what feels relevant to you. I truly, truly mean that, especially when we do these things in public forum. It's like some people will get a reading and you're like, yeah, okay, this guy's going to pull a card. And you get the card and you're like, what? You're like, I don't know. And so that's why I always say sometimes we will pull a card and there'll be someone else and they're going to be like, oh, my, and they're going to know that that's them. And so, anyway, I just like to say that. Thank you for hanging out. I would say that the antidote for 8 of Cups, let's just say if you find any of yourself in there, the antidote for the 8 of Cups is literally realizing that they're like, oh, I actually had all of them here. Oh my God, I actually had, we had the whole thing this whole time. They just have everything arranged in a way in which they might not perceive the completeness. And so anyway, sorry, I'm definitely over-interpreting 8 of Cups for you, April. Sorry. Okay. All right. Yes, we definitely changed timelines. Let's find somebody else. Let me know who else is here for a reading. Miranda Anderson says, you need a volunteer? I'm in if so. Cool. Volunteer for a reading. I'm just going to assume, Miranda Anderson, that you wanted a reading. I don't even know if you're still here. But you showed up on the list. Miranda Anderson. That was also a little while ago. I'll just be honest with you. That was like 15 minutes ago. So Miranda Anderson's probably gone. Who knows? We're going to do a reading for a Space Cat. We're going to do a reading for you next only because you're a Space Cat. I'm not saying that, you know, facetiously or anything. I do. I have a fascination with people that choose cool screen names. All right. Oh, where did she go? I lost the person we were doing a reading for. Sorry, guys. There she is, Miranda Anderson. Hello. It's a card for Miss Miranda Anderson in the year 2021. Here we go. Boom. Miranda Anderson. Cool. It's always good. Whenever we do these live, I'm like, oh boy, what are we going to get? Miranda Anderson, you actually receive a very useful, forward-moving, deliberately communicative, and sometimes overly enthusiastic energy known as the Page of Swords. We saw another page earlier, you guys, before the stream went down, and we were talking to other people, and whenever the pages show up, the pages are going to be beginning a legitimate new chapter, a legitimate new era of their life. Sometimes they're starting a new job. Sometimes they're starting a new state of being. Sometimes they're starting a new relationship. Sometimes they're just in a new chapter. Sometimes they're learning to communicate themselves in a whole new way or learning to use their voice sometimes, very much with Page of Swords. And so for Miranda Anderson, the Page of Swords is very deliberate, but notice she's running through a field deliberately, right? And she's got this giant sword and she's waving it around. And there is a problem with the Page of Swords, you guys. And I think when we start out a year just looking at things like, what do we need to know? And we receive the Page of Swords. The pages in general, like I said earlier, they must recognize their legitimacy, that they have made it. And it's very delicate when you say, you know, made it, quote unquote, but the pages will be reaching a level of accomplishment that they will have to recognize. They won't always see it in themselves, and they'll have to be like, oh, okay, I am here. I am legit. The problem with the pages, though, is that while they are legit, it's not a problem really, but while the page will represent a person who is legitimately beginning a new chapter of their experience or even a new skill, the Page of Swords has an issue because they won't necessarily know how to wield their sword. Because when you look at this person, you could theoretically say, we could be like, what's she doing with that giant sword? Why is she running with it, right? Why is she running through the field with this gigantic sword. And so the Page of Swords, this is a behavior style that Page of Swords will have. Maybe not Miranda Anderson, but somebody else, or maybe you do. The Page of Swords will be running along and they'll be talking and yelling like, and then they say this one thing and they're all and they hit themselves with their own sword. And the Page of Swords gets themselves in trouble. They will say too much, too fast, too soon. Sometimes kids do it, right? There'll be these, you know how little kids are, you guys? They'll roll in and they'll be like, well, you're really fat. You know, kids will just say stuff like that, right? And you're like, oh, you know, and you'll be shocked. And you're like, oh, it's true, right? It's true. Page of Swords sometimes can bring those type of moments. I'm not saying that that would happen for you or to you, but Page of Swords asks us to be made aware of those elements of ourselves, and they will also ask you to be made aware of the strength of the sword with which they wield. And so I would say when we, you know, in dialing it all the way, oh, there, I see you, Miranda. Hello, I see you're here. Good. So in dialing it back to where do we go with the Page of Swords when we're starting out a new year, right? Because this is some New Year readings. And so the Page of Swords really asks you to be made aware of the power of communication, the power of your voice, and the timeliness or the manner in which you will wield the sword of truth in the world. Because literally, you guys, this is the sword of truth. You want to get technical and weird and, you know, go into the, you know, like the deep intricacy of tarot. She's, you know, we could say she's wielding the sword of truth. And so thank you. You see it right there, no filter. And that's kind of the issue with Page of Swords. But here's the thing, the Page of Swords as a kind of a stage in your life, the Page of Swords will kind of get themselves into trouble. I'm just going to say it. They'll say some shit and they'll be like, they'll have to, you know, kind of pull it back every now and then. But here's the thing about Page of Swords, and this is why the Pagers are so incredible. And I know, Miranda, we're going on this, but the Page of Swords is kind of like one of those archetypal beings where nobody expects them to do it. They'll be like, what? No, what? They won't do it. And the Page of Swords is like, let me tell you what, boom. And they'll just like roll. They'll just say this thing and everyone is like, and it'll just level everything. And so there's like this incredible strength with the Page of Swords because they'll say something that no one else will say. They will never dare to do it. They'll be like, oh, she really did. And so that could be this incredible strength, or it can be this moment where we literally like this, we fall on our sword and we're like, oops. And so I would say embrace that energy as we go into the new year. And I will get technical. If it's an area of your body, it's your throat chakra. And so I think it's a good thing to have, albeit cautious, yet positive. Thank you, Miranda Anderson. Space Cat, I promise you're next. I don't even know if you're still here, but Space Cat, live from YouTube land, we're going to do a reading for you next. All right. And thank you for those of you guys that came over from Facebook. I know Facebook turned my stream off. Actually, it was my Wi-Fi. It wasn't Facebook. They've actually been pretty cool. I'm for some reason, I've never been banned or blocked or any of that weird stuff on Facebook. I think I got banned from a couple groups for like promoting my stuff. But yeah, I have not been a person that suffered against targeting or censorship. I don't know why. I think for some of us, like we just won't trick like the algorithm. I've said a bunch of crazy stuff, but I think some people just don't pop up on the filter. Or let's be real, maybe they don't care. Sorry. Anyway, Space Cat, what's happening for 2021? Let's see what's going on in your world. Thanks for hanging out. Space Cat. Space Cat. Beautiful. Yes, I say that for every card. But what is it? Space Cat, you got the Nine of Wands. I love Nine of Wands. Why? Because let's be real. Nine of Wands, when we start out a year or we end a year or we're just any day of the week, the Nine of Wands needs to recognize that they have literally learned from a mistake. It doesn't mean that you made them. We've all made mistakes, right? In 2020, you know, whatever. But the Nine of Wands will be at a stage of acknowledging like, okay, you know what? I learned from that. And guess what? Now we're way better. And so what happens with Nine of Wands is they come through these stages of training and development and activity and states of being and personas, all sorts of just tasks, versions of you. And you can see them in the background, Space Cat. There's been 9 of them. You've been through a long journey. Nine of Wands has been preparing for something for a very long time in their path. I'm not trying to tell you that the thing that you've been preparing for as a Nine of Wands is like some crazy, massive, incredible thing. I have to be straight up. The Nine of Wands is not necessarily leading us into greatness or launching us into some amazing process. The Nine of Wands could just be getting ready to do a normal task. But here's the thing, whatever this is for you, whatever the next stage, and I say very delicately next stage, because Nine of Wands will bring, at all of the nines, you guys, they show up right at the end of a stage, right before you're about to walk out of a door or into another one or through a gateway, or in some cases you'll walk off a cliff straight up. However, Space Cat, Nine of Wands has been preparing for something for a long time, and to be really, really real with you, if you're able to identify what this is, and every now and then you'll feel it in your heart when people give you this message, the Nine of Wands people will know, because they're like, yeah, that kicked my ass last year, dude. It literally kicked my ass. Whatever it was, whew, man. In fact, if you look really closely, you can tell he's got a bandage on his head. It gets blurry when I do this, but hopefully you can see. Last year he got his ass kicked in something. I'm not saying you did, Space Cat. We're giving everyone all the examples. But what happens is this year, it's beautiful because we're in January. This year, they have to pull the trigger in an area of their life. By pull the trigger, I mean Nine of Wands has to go through it. They will have to do it. There's going to be a certain thing that they have to follow through or complete that in certain cases, they've just been waffling on. They've just been holding on it. I'm not trying to insinuate that's you. Here's the thing, everyone. We've all had friends who have Nine of Wands energy, because every week they're like, okay, guys, I swear to God, next month I'm going to do it. And everyone's like, yeah, right. They're like, no, I swear to God, next week we're totally going. I'm going to go. We're going to do it. And the thing is, Nine of Wands will sit there and they'll just wait at the edge, and they don't ever go through. They just sort of pause. And so if there is anything like that for you, all those states of being or the next chapter that's opening, or whatever it was that, maybe wounded us previously, Nine of Wands has to recognize that they've overcome it. That's one of the things that allows them to, quote unquote, pull the trigger in their world. And to me, Nine of Wands, it's just kind of my own assignment, but I call it the trigger card. I mean, really, Nine of Wands has to go. They have to jump. To make it even more weirder and intense, sometimes when I see that and people are in intense situations, right? Every now and then, we're in a super intense shit, right? And so Nine of Wands, they cannot hesitate. If you hesitate with a Nine of Wands in an intense situation, you've already lost. And so I'm giving you like a full, big, huge bucket of info on that, Space Cat. Only use what applies. I'm glad that, yeah, definitely a cat of nine lives. I feel you on that. I feel you. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Thanks for hanging out. Somebody says, I'm still here. Who's that? It's RLJJE1. So I won't even try to convert that into a name. We're just going to call you RLJJJE1. Thanks for being here. It says you're still here. I'm gonna pray that you are, and we're gonna pull a card for you next. RLJJE1 in the year of 2020. Let's pray you're still here and this energy finds you well. What's going on? RLJJE1. Oh, the Magician. The first appearance of the Magician today. RGL. Oh, sorry, I'm just massacring your name. RLJJ. Whatever. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I hope you're here. You've received the Magician as we move into 2021. And so I'm going to be really specific. Magician is it's a powerful stage of your life. And I say that because for a lot of us right now, the Magician shows up as a stage. We could even say a year-long experience. And to be more specific, it is very, very much a transformation. When the Magician shows up in your life as a stage of development, many of your relationships, not all of them, not everything, but certain key areas of your life will begin to deconstruct. They'll begin to fall apart. Sometimes our occupations, every now and then our health will shift. Everything in our life, a little bit like a snake who loses its skin, or some animals will molt, or birds will shed their feathers. I think eagles, have to go through actually an early life cycle feather shedding stage as well. That's very painful. It's a very painful thing. And so the magician in the beginning feels like a Band-Aid gets ripped off of your life. But what happens is, if you're able to embrace the change, if you're able to look at yourself in the mirror each day and acknowledge the manner by which, or the level, the amount that you're changing and shifting on a daily basis, and really embrace that, the magician will bring you into an entirely new stage of your journey. And it is very much a scenario. For me, it's cheesy when I say this because I've said it so many times, but this happens with you guys, with people that have big magician energy. It'll show up in the beginning of the year, and you will, I swear to God, RLJJE, I pray that you have this experience. You'll start the beginning of the year as one version of yourself, and you're probably going to look at yourself in the mirror today after this live stream or whenever, and just pause for a moment and look at your face and look at what you're wearing and look at where you are. And if you can, this is how you're going to know that the magician and the stage of transformation is in your life, because I swear to God, probably around like August, September, October, you're going to have this experience in which you look in the mirror once again, and you will remember all the way back. And you're going to be like, whoa, I look different. Whoa. You're like, whoa, like you remember January, you're going to notice your face is different. Like your hair will have changed. Your clothes are different. And you are going to have that moment in which you look back and you're like, whoa, everything has really, really changed in my world. And the magician kind of enables that process in your life, but it does it in a way that for a lot of us starts out very fearfully, very, very fearfully, because the magician, for some of us, depending on our prevalent emotional condition, the magician is not necessarily a light or dark energy. It can be both. And the magician can go through states of manipulation. They can go through states of targeting. They can go through really painful growth spurts as well. And so just in case you end up falling on that side of the spectrum with the magician, it really asks you to embrace it, like consciously embrace, and notice the level to which little by little, things are changing. And, in my opinion, it's one of the most powerful stages that we can have. And so it doesn't really matter what age you're in as well. I have to say that. It really doesn't matter. And so I'm excited. Honestly, when I see that, I'm excited for a year. When we get the magician in the beginning, we're like, all right, things are going to change. For some people, we're like, things are going to change. Other people are like, things are going to change finally. And so embrace it, whatever that is. Thank you. And thank you, April Jones. Off to sleep. Thank you. Yeah, wherever you are in the world, it's probably quite late. Thank you for being here. Let's grab some other people. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Let's see who else is here. Atomica. I love a card. I would love a card. Absolutely. Hello, Atomica. Let's do a card for you. I think you're still here. We're going to pull a card for Atomica. Oh, and I see that. Space Cat said you had a twin flame magician boyfriend that infiltrated your dreams. Let me just say that is a real thing. And don't worry, Atomica, we're definitely going to get to your reading. I'm just going to sidetrack really quickly. You guys, for a lot of us on the earth plane that are really tapping into and going through your own internal multidimensional processes and development and just working on yourself, you are going to have the experience of encountering other people in your dreams. And I'm going to be real. There is a true experience right now where there are people on the earth plane that will also be able to project themselves into your dream state. And just as a practitioner that helps people clear that energy and understand what it is, I mean, we have to be real. That's one of the foundations of just energy transfer that occurs as we move into fourth density. And so once again, like I think we were talking to someone else earlier about how we're communicating internally with people psychically and telepathically on a shocking level. You guys are also going to be experiencing that state or those experiences in your dream state as well. And for a lot of us, it will actually start there. Sometimes it's positive. Every now and then it can be negative. It goes all directions, especially when we move outside of the body. I would say that's why your most prevalent emotional condition is probably one of the most important things at this stage, because that's going to set the tone of what occurs for you. As soon as you move outside of the space, a lot of the sort of the initial wave of energy that we encounter. And this, I know we're going on a weird rant here. Don't worry, Atomica, we're coming. One of the things you guys are going to find as soon as you move outside of the actual physical human body, things are so much different. The dynamics are different. Time is different. It's very difficult to try to quantify or explain it verbally, but you will find that the emotional states that we encounter inside the body will persist outside as a form of density, as a distortion. In certain cases, they can alter and change how we will perceive multidimensional energy. And if we have a lot of trauma within us, we will actually perceive things as negative or scary or traumatizing, when in reality, that's actually us reacting to our own internal state. It's a very interesting and complex environment. Anyway, not to go on a strange rant about that. Atomica, oh, there she is. Okay, cool. Well, at least you were here at 5:07, so hopefully you still are. Here we go. At least 5:07 on the West Coast in the United States. I know we're all over the world, so, you know, I'm just looking at my timestamp. Okay. Atomica. Atomica, we've got the Return of the Seven of Swords. And just so you know, the good news is, you saw it earlier if you were here on the other live stream, Seven of Swords always allows me to pull another card, because we like to know what Seven of Swords is about. And I'm going to show it to you now, Atomica. Alongside Seven of Swords, we do have Strength. This is a really cool scenario. Why? Because if anyone, and I guarantee you some other people are going to pick up on this instantly, this is a situation of hidden strength, where you will be called to utilize a hidden strength, where you will discover a hidden strength. You may be even at certain stages hiding some ability or some element of yourself that is incredible. It's capable, it's strong, it's real. And so Seven of Swords, we saw it earlier, classically hidden, not always for a bad reason. I have to be real, you guys. Seven of Swords, don't identify this card. For those of you guys that are learning tarot, don't pigeonhole yourself into the sort of, you know, the sort of temperature of the imagery, because many tarot decks, nearly all of them, give you a weird vibe with Seven of Swords. When you look at the real energy of it, it's hidden. But it may be hidden for a very good reason. It's not necessarily deceptive, but I will tell you, when I see something like that, and then I see Strength right next to it, Atomica, you might be even holding a lot of yourself back. There's going to be things that you'll know, things that you can do, things that you've wanted to say, elements of yourself that you're kind of like, you're going to hold it back. And I'm not telling you that you're doing that, because, you know, maybe you're not. We're just looking at 1-2 card readings in a group setting. And so this could even be more, you know, pertinent to someone else. But I would say when we see these, don't hide yourself. Really allow yourself to be as real and as strong and as powerful, and sometimes as weird. And, you know, whatever it is that you think people aren't ready for, I mean, really, really, this is also a Seven of Swords energy. They'll think people can't handle it. They're like, damn, if they knew what I was carrying in here, oh, Lord, if they knew, don't show them. And so Seven of Swords, when the Strength card is next to it, it's like, oh, yeah, bring it out. In fact, you may need to whip out whatever it is. If it's an ability or something that you've been kind of holding back within yourself, these guys give you authorization to put it to use. And so anyway, to me, that's a really cool thing to have. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're still here and that finds you well. Thanks for hanging out. Hello, Teresa Warren. Good to see you again. I see you there. How's it going? All right, everybody. Let's see. Who else do we have? Hello, Catherine Q. She says, hi, I'd love a card, please. Absolutely. Let's see. What's going on? Oh, I just lost your picture, Catherine. Oh, there she is, Catherine Q. How's it going? For those of you guys that are still hanging out, we did do a much more extended live stream over there on Facebook as well. And then my Wi-Fi went down, and luckily, by some strange luck, when it turned back on, it literally reactivated the stream. And so some of you guys were here earlier, and I was like, whoa. We're literally back. It just popped back in. And so I'm pretty sure Facebook is shut down. I have no idea. On my screen, it looks like it is. But just so you know, we've been here for a while. And so we try not to skip people. But at this stage, I'm just grabbing like names at random. So don't feel bad if you want to put your name back on the list. But for now, We're going to look at Miss Catherine Q. Let's see what shows up. What's going on in 2021, Catherine Q? Well, you start out with this little interesting character. He's called the Four of Pentacles. Most people see a Four of Pentacles. Probably Catherine, you'll see him as well if it's not too blurry for her. And we see this little Four of Pentacles guy, and you'll notice that he's in this little box, right? You guys will see him, right? He's in this little box, and he's holding some coins, right? He's got one on his head. He's clutching one. He's sitting on him. And so a lot of people see this, this Four of Pentacles, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to be totally real. They can get a little blocked up. But in also being completely 100% honest, Four of Pentacles is not critically blocked up. They're not totally screwed. They're really not trapped in anything. But Four of Pentacles will kind of hold themselves in a little bit of a box. They'll sort of keep themselves contained. One of the ways that you might describe a Four of Pentacles energy right now, and I'm just going to be real, you guys, are those people, for those of us that are still in the, the sort of quarantine stages, Four of Pentacles could be, individuals who are just fastidiously isolated. They will pull everything away. They'll totally protect themselves. They'll cover up everything, and they're like, you know what I mean? Four of Pentacles can also manifest in that way, and they'll just really protect the self. And there are times in which this Four of Pentacles is the best thing you can be, because nobody's going to get what he's holding on to. Or rather, it's unlikely that he's going to reach in there and grab it. But Four of Pentacles will need to interject new energy. They're going to need to open the doors and the windows and climb out of their little box. And so when I will see this in the beginning of the year, and, granted, I might be over-interpreting for you, Catherine Q, but Four of Pentacles can get stagnated. I say that, not in a critical way, because, it's not a critical stage, but the Four of Pentacles, could get a little stagnated. And so please interject new energy, interject new processes. Every now and then, if there's money issues in our life, let's be real. Every now and then, if we're having abundance issues, Four of Pentacles will hold on to everything, and they won't pay for stuff. And every now and then, maybe this is you, maybe it's not. We're giving everybody a taste of Four of Pentacles. They'll just sort of keep it. They'll just be like, nope, I'm not giving anyone anything. And the antidote for Four of Pentacles, for everyone that starts 2021, and even if this is not you, Catherine Q, anyone that starts 2021 with stagnancy, feeling locked in a box, feeling penned in, feeling a little bit overprotective or shielding the self, the antidote for that is to just open it up. You have to be willing to list, okay, all right, I've been holding this. Okay, all right. Everyone just comes out, and that's literally what allows something new to flow in. And I know it's really easy to say that because we're approaching it from these sort of, existential kind of like philosophical I can't even say the word, explanation, ways. And it's all very like metaphorical, but really the antidote for this energy, if you felt like this, Catherine Q, is he just climbs out of the box. He opens up the doors. We get all this new air in there. And what happens is he gets a lot more of this. I will also say, for those of you guys, when you see all these coins and you see this little man in the box, and we're like, what does he mean? Some of us are bitterly hanging on to what we have right now. And Catherine, don't worry, I'm just kind of riffing on Four of Pentacles. So I'm not assigning this to you. Every now and then you'll kind of feel a little bit of it in your own way. But for everyone else that feels this energy, they'll just they'll be clutching to certain things in their life that as soon as they let it go, they're like, there's another one. Oh, and there's another one, and there's another one. And so powerful energy. As long as I've said this phrase too many times, it sounds cheesy. Combat stagnancy, which is kind of a strange choice of words, right? Combat stagnancy. But at its heart, Four of Pentacles, if anything goes wrong, he just gets stagnated. And so anyway, not to keep hammering on that, Catherine Q, you will find maybe a little bit of ourselves in there. I know I always get a little bit of myself in the Four of Pentacles, definitely, especially if we're having hard times with money, because that's one of the easiest ways for us to understand Pentacles. When you guys are approaching things from just third density, day-to-day physical stuff, The Four of Pentacles, or rather, excuse me, Pentacles, for a lot of us, they can be about money. In the old world, it's like, man, we need enough, we don't have enough, or we have these ideas around it, and so they let go. They just let go of that. Anyway, we're just ranting on Four of Pentacles, you guys. Who else do we have here? Let's just see. Rich Arose, you were here a while ago. Hello, I see you. You were back about 15 minutes ago. I see Rich Arose. How's it going? I don't know if you're still here, but we're gonna pull a card for you. Rich Arose. Rich Arose, and after that, I see Chris Stoney. Chris Stoney, your name sounds familiar to me. We're going to do a reading for you after that, just because I just happen to see you there. I don't know if you're still here, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And so first, Rich Arose, what's happening? 2021. Let's pray it's a good one, right? Everybody wants a good sign, right? Every now and then it's awkward. This one's not awkward by any stretch. Rich Arose, you have the Knight of Swords. The first appearance of our friend the Knight of Swords today, by the way. It's the first time we've seen him. For those of you guys who are not familiar with the Knight of Swords, you can tell this guy, look at him. He is absolutely electrified. He looks very, he's pretty intense, right? He's swooping down from above on this electrified horse with wings, and he's got, this guy is insane. Not insane like insanity, but she's going in. He's going in on it. And so if that feels intense, Richard Rose, Knight of Swords is an intense guy. I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way. Knight of Swords is an intense guy. For all of you guys that are trying to understand who's the Knight of Swords? He gets very intense. Sometimes he gets intense really quickly. Every now and then he gets intense at a moment's notice, and everyone's like, all right, okay, cool. And I'm not saying that's you, but we're just giving you examples of how Knight of Swords will show up. But I will tell you one thing, Richard Rose, and this kind of does feel like you in a weird way. And so, or rather, I have a desire to assign this to you. It's a positive trait, don't worry. But the Knight of Swords is one of those dudes who will literally swoop in and save your life. He will swoop in, he'll come from nowhere, and you'll be like, whoa, thanks. And people with Knight of Swords energy, that's the kind of thing that they can embody at certain stages. But it gets a little awkward because Knight of Swords, you guys, he will be a savior, or he might accidentally cut your head off in the process. And so if you're getting like the wide variance of tone or energy or intensity with the Knight of Swords, Rich Arose, that's pretty much it. He goes from 1 to 10 very, very quickly. However, he's not a negative being. I mean, really, really, truly not. The Knight of Swords is intense, and he brings intensity, but it'll be about why and when and where. And so I think he will ask us to sort of limit our intensity, or just to be mindful of the power that we can invoke within ourselves if we get heightened. And notice I say heightened, not angry, because Knight of Swords, he's not necessarily an angry guy, but he will get intense. He will get blissfully intense. He could get negatively intense. And so he asks us to not only kind of balance that, but to really be made aware that at a certain stage, it's going to save our life. It will save others' life. It has a very important role to play. But I think also in really like completing the tale or the movement of the Knights, they are also processes and they're journeys. And the Knights are not meant to be permanent states. The Knights are never meant to be this permanent lifestyle. They're a means to an end. And if you just look at the role of the Knight, just in the old days, I mean, they will go on a mission. They will have a purpose. They will do a thing. They'll be called to do a task, or, whatever it is, a quest, whatever you want to call it. And then that thing will come to an end. And so that's kind of why, like, when we look at the Knight of Swords, we have to be mindful of, when we wield the sword. And I would say for you, Richard Rose, if you're still here, maybe you'll find this in the future, the Knight of Swords does it gracefully rather than haphazardly. And if he's able to embody an air of grace when he delivers his intensity, He will save lives. I know I'm getting very metaphorical and intense. That's the difference between saving lives and taking them in the process. And yes, I'm saying it, in a very exaggerated metaphorical way, but they wield great power. You know what I mean? And yes, it's kind of one of those, like, with great power comes great responsibility, which is, it's a cheesy phrase now, but that's the Knight of Swords, guys. Very verbal as well. Very, very, very verbal. Anyway, thank you, Rich Arose. After that, we were going to do, I think it was Chris. I want to say it was Chris. Let's find the name. Chris Stoney. Maybe you're still here. Maybe you're not. We're going to pull a card for you. So it looks like we've got 18 people on the live stream right now. Straight up, if you're still waiting for a reading, please put your name down there. I mean that very sincerely. We're going to get to a few more people before we get out of here. So, but for now, let's talk about Chris Stoney. What's happening in 2021? Okay. Chris Stoney. Chris Stoney. We've got the Emperor. Chris Stoney, the Emperor has been showing up for me constantly lately. I mean, really all the time. And so for me, the Emperor has some significance. And I think for other people, hopefully as well as you, the Emperor is going to have significance as well. And so let's be real about the Emperor. Chris, if this is a stage in your life, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, young or old, the Emperor rolls in and you are going to be taking ownership, straight up ownership. You're going to own it. You're going to command it. You're going to direct it. You're going to be the one that decides. You're going to say when and where and how. I mean, really, the Emperor is literally the Emperor. He is also the divine masculine. However, he's the patriarchal, sometimes old world version of the divine masculine. Sometimes he's the, the sort of negative father archetype. He can also be very controlling. In certain cases, he can become so controlling and stifling that he halts all forward progress. And that's an important trait of the Emperor, because sometimes the Emperor will get all flustered in their world and no one gets anything. If the Emperor doesn't get what they want, nobody does. And so when the Emperor rolls into our life, we are being called to embrace ownership, directivity. We are being asked to very, very specifically, not necessarily embrace the masculinity or the masculine energy within us or the manner by which it presents, not necessarily embrace it. Let's be real. Because for those of you guys that know tarot, you will know the Emperor is kind of an old world guy. That's just literally what he is. He's from the older generation, and he will be holding on to things that in the past. Oh, and I see you there, Chris Stoney. And the good news is, yeah, it's not necessarily all masculine, but he will ask you to embrace an element of masculinity within you. However, here's the key to the Emperor. He has to update his approach. There are elements for every single person that has that has Emperor energy, especially when we start a new year and we're looking at what's the path ahead. The Emperor comes into the game with certain things that made them really strong and really good and really successful or just on top in the past. This is one of the experiences of the Emperor. They used to be really good at blank. They used to do blank. Way back in the day, even if you're young, Chris Stoney, it doesn't matter, but we will all have this thing where we're like, I used to blank and I was really, sure I can. Here's the thing about the Emperor. Yes, he used to, but he has to update his approach. And so as you go into 2021, we find with the Emperor, whatever the stagnated or outdated elements of the, what we could even call toxic masculinity on some level, we could call outdated power structures, we could call patriarchal energy in our life. The Emperor asks us to update our approach, the manner by which we connect with it, how we embody our ownership of our world. It gets super big and really detailed and very complex. But to whittle it all the way down, let's pull it all the way back down into the real world, into the beginning of 2021. The Emperor will take ownership. You will call the shots. Sometimes, unless the Emperor calls the shots, like I said earlier, nothing will happen. So become your own emperor. I know that sounds cheesy. Also, for completeness sake, Christoni, the emperor is also directly related to the root chakra, to pre-age 6 programming, to the social interactions and the transactional nature of the relationships that were programmed into you, oftentimes by the father or male archetypes pre-age 6. And so sometimes when he's a state of development emotionally, we will be called to deal with early childhood programming around either our relationship with the father archetype, the relationship with masculinity within us, regardless of our gender, and how we understand that moving forward. And so I know I'm giving you probably way too much info. Oh, and there you are at the bottom. Definitely need to update my healing abilities. Well, here's the cool thing. That's what the emperor gives you the opportunity to do. He's like, yep, you were definitely strong in that 100%. The emperor rolls in sometimes like one of those ex-pro ball players, not to assign that to you. I'm just giving you an example. And you're like, whoa, oh yeah, you were definitely pro. And then they'll try to come back in and they have to update a technique. But as soon as they update a technique, they roll back in and they're like, yep, straight up. And there's a absolute realness to the emperor, but they have to own it. They have to update it. They have to continually revitalize it. I know I'm going way too far on emperor, you guys, but the emperor is also very much like you updating the software on your computer. Some of us are rolling with an operating system, from the old days, and everything's slow. It's cumbersome, and it's just like it's still rolling in like the 90s. And so we can say anything that's from the old world with the emperor doesn't really carry forward into the first stages of 2021. And so the good news is they're capable. The emperor is in charge. So if you're able to own that in and of yourself, you'll bring yourself into a whole new stage. And so anyway, yeah, definitely going on and on here. Sorry, Chris Stoney. We're just going on and on about the emperor. Oh, thank you, Rich Arose. I see you. I see you there. When the memory gets worse for many of us, and for some of us, this is a bit of a generalization, but one of the things we're finding right now is that it's very much related to heavy metal toxicity within the body, especially around the upper chakras, especially things like aluminum will deliberately and directly affect the quality of your memory. And so, yeah, heavy metal detox. For those of you guys that are going to be joining our January 10th class, or rather the class that's starting on Sunday, that is a big focus of our course for the 7 weeks. We're going to be also going through a detox process. And I don't even know if the description of this video is still up there, but for those of you guys that are interested in joining, we have a 7-week course starting this Sunday at 1 p.m. And what we're going to be doing is going through how to open up, how to tune, how to understand where your chakras are, how do they work, what do they look like, what do they feel like? Because I promise you, you guys, you will cut open like a cadaver. You're going to do, like whatever it is, and you will find the heart, you'll find the lungs, you'll find the spleen, but you will not find the heart chakra. You won't find the solar plexus chakra. And so what we're doing in this training program is helping people figure out what's going on in those areas of the body. How do you open them up? How do you heal them? How do you know when you're being affected in those areas? And then we also do a group energy clearing with everything as well. So anyways, not to continue down the shameless self-promotion route, but yeah, for those of you guys that want to join us, check it out. I think the link is in the description. But it's called the 4th Density Survival Series. And so we're going to grab a couple other people before we roll out of here. It's been a multi-hour. Oh, and thank you. Thank you, Rachel Mornian. My mom's here. And this is the Robin Wood deck. Not Robin Hood, Robin Wood. It's kind of the only one that I use at this stage, because out of all the ones that I've seen so far, the Robin Wood Tarot for me has what I would call the most accurate descriptions of what I understand the meanings of the tarot cards to be. And I think that Robin Wood Tarot is really helpful for some people, because it really, with every single card, it gives you an image that is pertinent to the symbolism and the understanding of what those images will actually mean. Whereas I think a lot of very highly stylized tarot cards will just give you these sort of abstract images that were sort of, determined by the artist who, not in every case do they even know the symbolism in tarot. And so they'll sort of, create these images and, they'll assign it to something like, it'll just say King of Swords. And then for those of us that know tarot, we'll end up looking at it, and sure, we will understand the King of Swords and we'll know what a King of Swords means. But for those that are learning, they'll look at it and they'll receive an entirely different sort of symbolic imagery than others. And so one of the things that I really like about the Robin Wood deck is that it literally tells you what the cards mean. And the thing is, even if you don't know, even if you have no idea what the cards mean, it gives you symbolism that helps you go, okay, all right, well, look at what's going on here. And that is why we use Robin Wood. Anyway, getting back to Rich Rose, one of the things that you can do to help improve your memory right now, just for those of us that are detoxing from heavy metals, a lot of you guys have heard me talk about fulvic acid, Fulvic. Fulvic acid will help tremendously. I've also been taking a lot of cordyceps mushroom, very, very helpful for improving just overall mental connectivity, straight up. I think it just sort of harmonizes the hemispheres of the brain a little bit, or kind of assists you in doing that. Then I would also say, to help with the oxidization or the removal of things like aluminum from around the sides of your head, Rich Rose, take liquid silica. Liquid silica, very, very useful. It will absolutely begin to remove aluminum. Okay. So I don't know, hopefully that makes sense. Thanks for hanging out. Hope Holmes, you're still here. I'm trying to find someone that's still asking for a card. There you are. How's it going, Hope Holmes? If you're still here, we're going to pull a card for you. I'm also going to say, if you're still waiting for a reading, throw your name in the bottom. I think we went through most of the people. We had a ton of people on Facebook, and then they cut our stream. So maybe we even got away easy. But in the meantime, I'm going to check out Hope Holmes. Okay, Hope, what's happening? Hope Holmes, my goodness, you have a fun card today. You have one of the only short-term change indicators in tarot, a very reliable short-term indicator. It's called the Three of Wands. And so people are going to be like, well, wait, hold on. What? So the Three of Wands indicates short-term change? Yes, absolutely. It doesn't necessarily say what kind of change you will be expecting. It doesn't always tell you that it's a good change or a bad change. What it tells you is you have multiple opportunities, multiple options, multiple junction points or meeting points or whatever it is approaching. And you can look at the card. Hopefully you can see this, Hope Holmes. You can see that there is 3 ships in the harbor. That's you. You're standing on the cliff. You're looking down there and you're like, I see something on the horizon, something rolling in. And so the Three of Wands is one of the most reliable short-term change indicators because it tells you to expect change, usually within a window of, I would like to say, about 90 days. For those of you guys that have done readings with me, you'll know that I am not one of those people that's like, okay, in the next 3 years and in 20 years and in 5 years, this is going to happen. Because the reality is timelines really, or I shouldn't say the reality, by my perception, the reality is timelines are it's truly infinite. And there's an infinite amount of outcomes that are available to us within a predetermined range at any given time. And so what will happen with the Three of Wands is that we will have multiple opportunities or junction points approaching us, and they show up very, very quickly. Time changes constantly. Just by learning of a card like this or understanding what it means, you can change that 3-month window, because I like to give a 3-month window with Three of Wands. You can change the 3-month window into a 3-day window or a 3-hour window. The way that you do that with any of the Wands cards, the way that you speed up or enhance or create more movement in your life, especially with Three of Wands, who says there's change coming. Or not necessarily change, opportunity for change. And so Three of Wands says you must investigate. You have to actually go looking for the things that are approaching you. They don't just show up on your doorstep. With the Three of Wands, you will have strange experiences, Hope, where you'll be going somewhere and you're going to go, I don't know, let's just say maybe you're going to get food just randomly. You're going to drive somewhere to go get food, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to this place. We haven't been there in a while. And you're driving over there, or you're walking there, and you can't go the way that you normally do. And you're like, oh God, and you have to go through this weird traffic or whatever it is, or however you get around. You have to take this whole alternate route, and you go through this one random place, and you get all flustered. And then all of a sudden you turn this corner, and you're like, oh, there's this place or this thing or this, oh, and I see your comment down there. Or you'll turn a corner and you'll just see this job opportunity or this ad, or you'll meet this person and you'll hear about something, and you're going to be like, whoa, I would have never, ever known had I not have taken that, I can't even speak, had I not have taken that weird detour and gone that one way and gotten frustrated and went this way and that way, and had I not have actively investigated the options or something that was approaching me, you would have never found it. And so the Three of Wands brings those events in your life usually pretty quickly, but it's like you have to investigate. None of them will come to you. And so when we see that at the beginning of the year, I think it's reliable to say that the first quarter of 2021 can be incredibly eventful for you. But just, to kind of close with that, I will say the Three of Wands, you guys, it doesn't tell you what's in these ships. It doesn't say what's approaching. It doesn't even say you're going to like it. It doesn't say it's good. It doesn't tell you what's in the containers of the ships. It's just like there's options. If you've got several options approaching you, which one will you take? And so you will have to go investigate them. Some of them will be great. Some of them will be total waste of time. But when you engage in that way with the Three of Wands, things will change quickly. And for some people, they will find treasure. Literally, they'll find a miracle that had they not have just looked for it, it'll be like sitting right there. But it's like, oh, wait, what? Oh, my God, it was here the whole time. And so anyway, sorry, Hope. I'm going on and on about your Three of Wands. That's one of the most hopeful things to see, actually. So thank you. Thanks, everybody. Who else do we have? I saw somebody else. Jennifer Armstrong. What's happening? Oh, hey, Space Cat. We did actually do your reading as well. We did do a card for you. I see that you're here, though. Thanks for hanging out. Jennifer Armstrong, in the meantime, let's see what's going on. I also see you, Teresa Daspit. I see you as well. In the meantime, what's going on for Miss Jen Armstrong? Wow, Jen Armstrong, weird information. I think that you just receive whatever of this you can. Just when I was checking into your energy, we see a change within the skin. There's even a skin tone shift and a little bit of, it's like a lightness or a softness or just something with your skin was shown to me. It does not feel on any level like a negative thing. Like you could tell I was spacing out there for a minute, like, whoa, what's happening? But there is something related with the skin, and the feeling to me, honestly, is this is going to be weird. So please just allow this to reach you wherever it fits. Because honestly, Jen Armstrong, I think in another reading, just a very interesting strand of information came forward for you as well, or maybe that was you. But in this case, it feels very much like a regeneration or a change or a shifting in just the quality or the elasticity or something within your skin. Almost so far that I could almost like see and feel your face and just notice that there's something where like the tone and something is shifting or filling in, or it feels like a positive change. It also feels like it is born or it will be born out of a certain peculiar shift in a dietary regimen. A dietary shift. Interesting. So take whatever you can from that, Jennifer Armstrong. Please only take what fits. It's not always that we get specific weird stuff like that in these live streams. So we just like to say, take it with a grain of salt. And so, Jen Armstrong, King of Cups, an interesting being, a very emotional being. Jennifer Armstrong, when the King of Cups rolls into your world, We may be a little bit isolated. We may be a bit out of the way. We may be far away from others. Sometimes we can feel it. Sometimes we can be on a bit of a solitary journey. I will tell you, you're usually not really alone with the King of Cups. Jen Armstrong, hopefully you can see there's a dolphin way in the back. He's just floating, he's jumping out of the water. It's important symbolism with somebody like a King of Cups because they will feel alone in a weird way. They will feel apart from things, even if they have a partner or somebody that's with them, because usually King of Cups, they are a bit of an isolated being internally, but they will at a certain stage have to be able to jump into the water. He has to be willing to really jump into the sort of, the waves that are crashing around him. And there's a lot of journeying that takes place with the King of Cups, but for most of us, it's internal. And a lot of, like yearning and just, moving through the past and like theorizing and feeling and just dwelling within the depths of the emotional body. That's what the King of Cups does. And so I would say if he asks you to do anything at the beginning of the year, Jennifer Armstrong, and I can tell we already went literally all over the place with you. We were talking about your skin one moment. The next minute, here we are with the King of Cups on this little rock in the middle of the ocean. I would say if there's anything the King of Cups needs to do, he really needs to dive into the storm that's brewing within him. And that's not to say that there's a big storm. I really got to be real, Jen Armstrong. The King of Cups doesn't necessarily have to have a crazy storm going on, but there will be a depth through which they will need to dive. They will need to go down to the bottom to find a place of stillness or internal solace within them. And that's what allows them to begin to become that for everyone else. Because people that have really strong King of Cups energy, they're very dreamy, they're very, they're very ethereal, they're very emotional beings. They can also be influenced by emotion negatively at times. They'll get really boiled and they will get very intense at times. But the King of Cups, when they're in what I would call a resonant or really strong placement in their life, they will be that grounding for everyone else. And it's like the King of Cups will literally be an anchor. And so it's a very interesting thing. You can anchor other people, but at a certain stage, you're going to have to dive into the water as well. And so it's a very interesting thing. I actually see your comment down there. You just created 2 meditation gatherings a week. Interestingly enough, that's synonymous with you being that sort of anchor, an element of stillness. The only problem I would say with King of Cups is if his internal cup is all, crazy and frothy and boiling over, he will project that outward, even if he's trying not to. One of the ways we see people with King of Cups energy when they have that, you guys, and here, Jennifer Armstrong, I'm not saying this is you, so this is just giving everybody an example. Some people with King of Cups energy, they'll be crazy inside, and they'll be like, I'm fine. What are you talking about? And, they have this, they're like, you can tell there's something going on, and they're like, it's totally cool. And you can see there's like an intensity, and you're like, okay. And so King of Cups, sometimes he will do that. And if he comes off like that, or if we find ourselves as a King of Cups being that like, I'm totally fine, and you just see it, the King of Cups has to allow himself to kind of, and they will be influenced by their emotion. And so the King of Cups, is a very incredibly complex being, but they will also be the counselors, the healers. They'll be the helpers. They'll be the listeners. They'll be the ones that are able to truly plumb the depths of their internal realm, probably in ways that other people can't always do, because King of Cups energy is very different than the King of Wands energy. Totally different. Totally different. So they're interesting beings. Oh, thank you, Rich Arose. Your phone died. I know it's weird. Honestly, Rich, I had everything died on my end earlier when the stream went down. It was like it just all regenerated. It was a weird thing. It turned off and turned back on. Yes, we're going to grab a couple other people, you guys. Yes, we certainly are. And then we are going to get out of here. It's been a very long journey. Teresa Daspit, you are on that list. I see your face. So, yeah, Teresa Daspit, thanks for being here. Okay, Therese Daspit, what's going on in 2021? You might still be here. Who knows? Who knows? After that, yes, I see you, Carrie. You're going to be after that. You might even be the last one, Carrie. Who knows? But in the meantime, Teresa Daspit, what's happening? Teresa Daspit, you've got the Knight of Swords. We saw him earlier. He's a very intense person. Teresa Daspit, I would say for you, the Knight of Swords feels relevant and actually very much in the moment, in that I think in 2021 there is an element of intensity for you that I think has been very 1 to 10. It's either been on 10 or it's been on 1. And that's kind of a trait of the Knight of Swords. I'm not just assigning that to you. Maybe you felt like that, maybe you haven't. But Knight of Swords is going to be putting a very intense frequency of energy within themselves to use. And for some reason, Teresa Daspit, I feel that there is a wavelength or a frequency or an ability or a voice or an element of you that has been boiling under the surface, just getting ready to like kind of like pop out in some sort of a way. And it's not, I wouldn't say necessarily it's a stage of development or even a chapter in your life. It almost feels like a piece of you that you've known is there. It's totally there. I would even go so far as to say, and I pray, Teresa, that this doesn't hit you in an awkward way. I would go so far as to say that the intensity that you hold from the Knight of Swords at this stage of your life, there was even a time in which you might have felt ashamed of it. It was so much of something that you were like, oh, and you had to keep it back. And so I think when the Knight of Wands rolls in, and for some reason this just feels like you in the moment, so please feel free, like you might, this might resonate totally wrong for you, but it feels very much like you're going to be putting that intensity to use in hopefully a very new and deliberate and powerful and just really, really a much more electrified way. And so if any of that hits you, if any of that finds you, I think definitely do not be afraid of those ultra intense frequencies that arise within your body and your internal realm at the beginning of 2021. They will be there literally for a purpose, for real. And so anyway, that's what I choose to believe for you at this stage of the game. I would also say Knight of Swords can just get very intense, and every now and then he gets very annoyed. He will get triggered by people around him, and he can come down pretty hard on people. Once again, I'm not assigning that to you, Teresa Daspit. For other people that will try to understand Knight of Swords energy, they will every now and then, they'll sort of come in and they'll be like, wham, and they'll just be doing a little thing, but they're like, they come slamming in, and everyone's like, whoa. And so just be aware that people with that energy, they hold incredible power. And so it's a good thing to have. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed of it. So anyway, I think we had another person here. Who was it? I think it was Carrie. I believe it was. Carrie, I think you're still here. There you are. I see you. All right, Carrie. What's happening? Carrie, feel very familiar to me. Okay, all right, Carrie, we're gonna check in on your energy. I'm just gonna say it, Carrie. I feel very much that there's healing modalities or stuff that are directly operating in your life. If you're not using them now, you probably will in the future. I would go all the way down from like body work to like other stuff. There's a myriad of templates that seem to be available for you that I'm not going to try to like assign you to any one of them, but it feels like a familiar frequency. And I would even go so far, I'm just going to get really weird, Carrie. Go here, take whatever fits from this. You feel very much like you have what I call the frequency replicator. And a frequency replicator is sort of an inherent trait that certain humans have, in which they will just be able to learn certain things. They're just going to be able to hear it, or they're going to read it, or they're going to see it, or they're going to talk it, and they're going to be able to do it. You're going to receive a frequency, and you're going to be able to make your own version of it instantly. For some reason, Carrie, I just feel that with you. Only accept it if it feels like you, but it feels very, very real. And so I would say that people that have the frequency replicator trait you will find them as sometimes, like the kids in school, some of them were just really good at playing, music. They're just like, damn, that guy's so good at the guitar. Or other kids were really, really good at, sports. They're just, now you're like, whoa, they're naturally good at it. People that have the frequency replicator will have a trait in which they will just pick stuff up. They will be able to instantly transition into new abilities or new areas of their life. But here's the problem with people that have frequency replicators, is that they will not necessarily know it. They don't see it. They will have been contained or detained, or whatever the word is, as children or other stages in their life. They'll have been minimized, and so they'll have a tremendous amount of self-doubt. And I'm not trying to assign self-doubt to you, Carrie. I'm just saying, if you do, and if that does feel like you, it's usually literally covering incredible capability, but we'll have had opportunities or experiences at other stages of our life. People that have a really strong frequency replicator energy, they will be joining scenarios with people, or they'll be starting to learn things, and they will instantly be better than everyone else. And some of us have that experience, and they will be shamed for it. And other people that are really good at it, they'll try to squish you down, because they'll be like, how the hell does this person know everything? How did they, you know what I mean? People will have that trait. And that's a frequency replicator. I would say that it will make it hard if you really have that. I definitely have it as actually. I'm seeing your comment there, Carrie. I thought that you'd been in our classes. Thank you, but I had a feeling. But people that have that frequency replicator, we will also have a hard time staying consistent in certain things. And it's like, you'll learn it and you'll pick it up and you're like, yep, totally, I got it. I know what it is. Boom. Okay, all right, I'm done. You just bounce and you will move on from it. And that's kind of the only, probably not the only, but it's one of the difficulties for people that have a real true frequency replicator, is you're going to pick something up and you're going to figure it out and you're going to use it, and then you're going to know everything about it. And then you're like, okay, I already know, dude. You're just going to move on. And so you will move past people in social situations. Sometimes people that have real dedicated energy in that way, they will cycle through relationships, not intimate relationships, but like friendships and alliances, because you will blow past people. It's like they will see you 6 months later and you're on a whole other tip. You're just like, yeah, dude, I'm in this whole other thing now. I don't know. And so some people have a hard time catching up with you, and certain people will have a hard time vibing with frequency replicators, because it's like they're constantly shifting, and you'll pick up a new thing and you'll integrate it, and everyone else will still be trying to learn how to open the box, and you're like, what? And you won't understand. And so sometimes we also will sort of get bored with certain processes. And Carrie, you can probably tell I'm also talking about myself. I see your confirmation in there, so it's a good sign that this is also you. But many other people are having this experience as well. And in my opinion, it's also the mark of a real multidimensional being, because people that have frequency replicator energy, they just continue to move through all these identities and all these skills, and they might not stick on any one, but every once in a while they will plant themselves in a state of being that is incredibly powerful. And so anyway, I'm totally ranting on frequency replicator, Carrie. I didn't even pull you a card. Sorry. Maybe I did. After you do about like 20 or so readings in a row, you're like, maybe I already did. You know what I mean? It's like you sort of get mixed up in the process. But yeah, for Carrie, what's going on? Carrie has the 10 of Wands. You know what's wild, Carrie? This was the first card, I think, that showed up today when we first started doing readings. The 10 of Wands rolled in, and we were talking about how people are going to be moving on at the beginning of the year, because we are doing New Year's readings, right, you guys? People will start moving on from stuff in the beginning of the year, and it's like they'll gather their things and they'll go, or they'll transition into new areas or new placements or new locations. And when I see or rather, I'll be specific for you, Carrie, I think the 10 of Wands sees you making thoughtful use of a large bag of tricks and skills and things that you've been accumulating probably over at least a decade or so. And if it hasn't been a decade, I'm just saying that because it's the 10s, and the 10s come through in big chapters of energy like that. And so, and this is also for everyone else that feels the pending transition into new states of career, new states of occupation, new physical places. But for Carrie, I would say this has you making use of a bunch of accumulated energy in not necessarily a new way, but probably, and this is, oh man, this is always bold, but probably in a new place. It's almost like you're going to pick up whatever you're doing right there, and then you're just going to bring it over there. It's not like this, like, oh my God, we're going across the country. It's like, we will go over there. And as soon as you bring that thing over there, it's like it begins to generate a whole new wave of the process. And so I would say that's a pretty reliable thing with the 10 of Wands, even if it is just us moving on from a previous stage, because we have to be real. Sometimes the 10s, they just move on from something and they're like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go over here. And so I hope that makes sense. I hope that finds you well. I want to thank everybody for hanging out here today. We've had a multi-hour stream, you guys. For those of you guys that were here earlier, we were on Facebook, and then the Wi-Fi dropped, and then we got blocked out of Facebook, and the stream came back on, and we arrived back here in this strange YouTube land about 3 hours later. And so I want to thank everybody that's been hanging out here today. Some of you guys will still be able to see the links in the description. For anyone here that enjoys just this sort of multi-dimensional weirdness and the stuff that we're talking about, please do join our course. It's starting this Sunday, January 10th. And what we're doing is we're going through a 7-week process of opening up the chakras, learning how the non-physical energy body actually works. But we're doing it specifically within the chakra system of the body. And so what we're going to be doing is going through a 7-week process of learning how to open up and tune and figure out what are the chakras, how do they work, which ones are activating, and what emotions are contained. And most importantly, we're teaching people a modality through which you can begin to open that up in your own life and find your own manner of healing. Because at the beginning of fourth density, when we're moving into this new wave of consciousness, one of the best ways for people to really begin to embody their own path is to find that frequency within you. Begin finding your own way. Begin developing, yes, your own modalities, your own understanding of things. And so one of the ways in which we facilitate that change for people, or rather one of the ways in which I'm hoping to facilitate that change in people, is by helping you understand the layers of the non-physical body. And I will say this, it's something that everyone is figuring out all together at the same time. There is no one singular authority on what's going on with the chakra system in the human body. It's a process we're all uncovering. But what we have been doing pretty reliably for the past 3 years or so is teaching people very reliably how to open up those energy centers and what energy is contained within, and giving people a method through which they can start to understand it for themselves. And so for those of you guys that are interested in joining, check out the link in the description. It's called the Fourth Density Survival Series Chakra Activation 7-week process. And we're starting out on Sunday with the root chakra and also the Earth Star chakra underneath your feet, your timeline connection and plug-in point, where your energy body literally plugs into the Earth grid. It's not the only place where it plugs in, but it's a very, very important place. And so we're starting out in January of 2021, getting all the way down to the bottom of the jar. And in week 1, we're doing the Earth Star and the root chakra. It's going to have a big effect on just our abundance flow and the lack mindset that some of us unconsciously carry in here. And so check that out. For those of you guys that want to enroll, you can make payments. I know not everybody has all kinds of money they're going to throw into classes. So please reach out if you really want to join this class. You don't have the money, send me an email. The reality is everyone gets in. We always find a way to get people in. So please reach out and do join us if you feel called. I do see another question down there. Mimi says, is that the same as replicator energy? Not really. However, the what I would call the frequency replicator is one of the frequencies or the abilities or just the maybe we can be more specific and say a capability that exists within many of us. I would say nearly all of us. but certain people are going to have it a little stronger. You know, like how I said earlier, some people are really good at basketball or sports when they're younger. Other people are good at playing music. You know, other kids were natural in other studies. And so the frequency replicator is an element of your energetic anatomy, or rather a setting that the body maintains that allows us to really quickly shift in and out of abilities and states of being and learn things quicker. It sometimes makes it harder to hold on to them, but it will allow people to begin to make use of new abilities. And so we could say on a certain level that by opening up and releasing density or blockage within the chakra system, that we will be addressing or enhancing certain individuals' ability to easily replicate frequencies or abilities, or just, you know, whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. And so by opening up the chakra system, it is very, very possible that we begin to use that energy. But yeah, a little bit different. And who knows, maybe I'm just rambling on apples and oranges at this stage. But for those of you guys that want to begin true multidimensional intuitive healer training, actually learning how your chakras work, where they go, what happens, how do we heal them, what do they do, please do join us. I believe the link is in the description. And I also do private readings. I believe it's 4 days a week now. But 4 days a week, I do private readings, both energy clearings and also multidimensional tarot readings just like this. And so you guys can find all that stuff at rememberyourmission.com. And if you found this on YouTube, because we're only on YouTube right now, but most of the time we are on Facebook. If you found us on YouTube, please do subscribe and like. I do not have a monetized channel, and I am not here trying to make money off of this community. And so there's no ads on any of my stuff. We are supported entirely just by who shares our videos and who comes through, and by word of mouth. And so thank you for being a part of this weird live stream. Check the links in the description. And if you feel guided, if you hear the call, truly hear the call to step into a new stage of yourself and a new channel, a new consciousness wave, a literal renaissance that is beginning, do join us. Please do. We're starting on January 10th at the School of Multi-Dimensional Intuition. And so thanks for hanging out, you guys. It's been a long one. I love you. Stay safe. Don't worry. Everything that's happening right now at this stage of the journey is what we signed up for. Truly, everything at this stage is what we signed up for. And there are no mistakes at this stage. And so embrace the change in 2021, you guys. We are in an entirely new era. It is a new timeline. It is a literal new wavelength of consciousness, and it just started. So enjoy the ride, hold on, hydrate yourselves, do some heavy metal detox. And for those of you guys that want to really open up the multidimensional channels, we'll be meeting on Monday. So join us if you can. In the meantime, I'm going to roll out of here. I love you guys. And if you do anything, take off the mask, please.